My goodness gracious, what an intro that was. Can we agree with that? Yeah? You all applauding as well, wherever you are? Thank you for being here, by the way. Wherever you are, if you're live, if you're watching this later, you're just the best. That's how I want to go ahead and start this off. Before we do anything else, you just take a quick moment, you go ahead and acknowledge the fact that you're the best. And if you're wondering if other people watching this, if they're also the best, and then you're wondering if there's some competition that's happening because of that, you're right. Somehow you're all winning, though. And with that smooth transition into movies and TV of 2024, everybody, welcome to the Cinema Squad's return to YouTube. Because goodness gracious, we haven't been around since the Rubber Duckies, for crying out loud. Don't ask too many questions, right? There have been some things jokes aside, thank you sincerely for the patience, the understanding, the continued support throughout this time. And we could not be more excited to be back at it and talking some stuff with you as far as what's come out so far this year. We got the top collective choice of 5 best movies from the year. Basically, we came together, duked it out amongst each other, and found out what we believed to be a good unanimous decision of the 5 best of the year so far. We do have some honorable mentions as well. In addition to that, we didn't leave TV out of the picture because we never do, right? I mean, how could you? There's been some bangers as far as TV goes this year so far. There's some that have continued to come out as we were making the decisions for this one. So we've also got from each of us individually our own kind of personal recommendations from all 5 of us as far as a TV show for you, right? So best TV shows so far? I mean, as far as personal opinions go, that's what we would say. So without further ado, thank you for bearing with me by myself as I went ahead and did this whole spiel of an introduction. Let's go ahead and get the rest of the gang out here. Does that sound good? Right? Don't know why I just didn't go to squad. Let's get the rest of the squad out here. So first up, in no particular order, but also that we have come to the consensus of is probably the sexiest person on YouTube. It's a tough call. There's a lot of us on here. But Upside Dan, come on in. Come on, bud. Where are you at?
Hey, Jace. I'm so excited to be here.
That man, I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask if you're excited. So appreciate you beating me to the punch, bud. And yeah, I'm excited to have you here. You ready to talk up some of the best movies of the year so far?
Yes, I definitely am.
Nice. I love the excitement. I love the anticipation. I can only imagine that there is more anticipation for the next person that is coming up here, which is Sean from Lost in the Reel.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great. I'm just having a blast as far as randomly choosing who's going on first, and then I give credit to Dan for being able to choose it as quickly as I say it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be back. It's been 4 months since we've been on together, so I'm just excited to talk movies and TV with you guys again.
Nice. Well, that's stole the words from my mouth, man. You know, because that's what I was about to say. You guys are like, we're on the same wavelength. Can we tell? We're all on the same page.
Always.
It's just fate that we're back on this day talking about this stuff and everything. And I'm trying being cheesy about it and facetious, but I'm just really, really absurdly happy that we're also back doing this. Let's continue this onward here. Let's go ahead and bring out Mr. Anthony Fever Dreamland Theater himself.
What's up, guys? What's up? Oh my god, I'm freaking happy as hell to be here.
Man, if you're wondering if the glasses and hat make you look 10 years younger, you're wrong. You look 15 years younger.
Okay. Alex, I was going for 20, but I'll take 15.
Take it easy. Take what you can get, you hipster, you.
Oh man, it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. It's been too long, but you know, I'm just happy to be here, and let's do it, man.
Sounds good. Well, I can't believe it because I was ready to just leave it here, but it turns out that I don't have to. So, holy good! I don't know why I'm trying to like get away from swearing. Holy shit, everybody! Jonathan.
Sirs. How is everybody? Man,
amazing.
Everything is good. Anthony, I like the glasses. It's something new.
Yeah, thank you.
Really like it, man. Really like it.
Thank you.
How is everybody?
So
absolutely swell.
Oh,
Amazing.
yeah. I'm ready.
Yes. Doing well. Doing well.
Well, that's good. Now, I mean, gosh, as we are just gushing over being here, I think we should also take some time to gush over the movies and TV shows that we selected to talk about here. What do we think, everybody? Yeah,
Yes,
So ready.
please.
it's what everyone came to see. We'll go ahead and we'll keep going. Whispering sweet nothings in each other's ears later, right? Need time for that. But yeah, let's go ahead, start to kind of get this show on the road because, I mean, first of all, I just kind of want to throw out as a roundtable quick question of what do we guys feel as far as just how it's been this year so far? Obviously, we've got an idea as far as from the past couple of years, as far as a little hit and miss. Some years stronger than others. Collectively, we've only gotten 7 months through the year so far. But what do we think as far as like in comparison to previous years? Do you think it was a strong year for movies and TV? Not so much. All right, Anthony, kick us off.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna say strong year. I feel like it started a little bit slow, but then again, it always feels that way. And now it's rocking and rolling. I don't know. I'm feeling TV more at the moment myself personally. Maybe it's just because of the current shows that are on right now. Speaking of which, a couple of them are ongoing, so they're not going to make our list. But yeah, TV this year has been great. That's been like, I think that's sort of like my big thing. But yeah, we've had some great big movies too, some of which we're going to be talking about very shortly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't even jump over the fact or hold off on saying I'm right there with you, man. I think actually it's been surprising to me as far as the amount of quality TV that we've been getting throughout this year so far. So not to say that I've been looking past anything movies wise, right? Thankfully, they're holding their own. But yeah, I'm right there with you. TV is just killing it. John, how about you?
I don't like this year.
I'm with you, John.
I don't. Last year around this time, I had very similar things to say.
Yep.
And concerning 2023 not so good, blah blah blah. I think 2024 is almost worse. I mean, that's not to say that there aren't good movies out there. They're going to be on this list. That's not to say there aren't good TV shows. They're also going to be on this list.
Okay.
But man, did I have to like go through. Oh, here it is. Yeah, here's one.
Wow, okay.
Well, then let me at least ask this to just kind of give some positivity, if you will.
Yeah.
Do you think, hopefully there's some positivity after this, do you think that there is a chance that the year can end on a strong note, or do you think it's going to remain this way?
Now, when it comes to like maybe the higher end films, and what I mean is like the more high budget, blockbustery type movies, that's a good question. I don't know if I have an answer to it yet. But I mean, man, once Oscar season comes around, there's a lot of really good movies that are about to come out, guys. Honestly.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, Sean, it sounded like you were in agreement that you don't think it's a strong year so far. So I'm just kind of curious, right? Let's go ahead and I guess we got the negativity train rolling. Let's go.
I don't want to throw out too much negativity because there are a lot of great things about this year. And that's why today we're not talking about the worst. We're talking about the best. So I'm excited to bring that positivity later. But as far as the year so far, I'm in agreement with John. I think that this year has been really lackluster, and I felt the same way last year like John too. It's like right around this time I'm like, where's my everything everywhere all at once? And maybe we were spoiled in 2022 by getting that movie so early. But yeah, so far this year there's just been a couple of movies that have really hit me hard, and I also agree with Anthony. TV so far has really been the shining star of the year, so I'm really excited to talk about those TV shows as well.
Nice. Well, I mean, Dan, just to kind of finish it off, it seems like you're maybe tilting it one way or another because Anthony and myself seem like it's doing all right. John and Sean are not so much. Where do you fall?
I'm more with Sean and John, I would say, because there's really only one movie that I say, oh, I love. That's the best. You'll see what it's going to be. There's a couple of movies that I love, but it's like they didn't hit me as hard as that one. And then we watched some good TV this year. I'm especially excited to talk about one. And I'm especially with last year, I was the same way at this time of year. Although Barbie came out in 4 days a year ago. So
wow.
So we were 4 days away from having a masterpiece.
and Oppenheimer as
Yes,
well.
yeah.
So we got the best picture winner 4 days.
That is
Crazy.
crazy. What
That's
comes
the
out
thing.
this weekend?
Oh, sorry.
Mhm.
No, you're good. What comes out this weekend?
Long legs. I cannot wait.
Well, next best picture winner, Long Legs.
I hope so. I hope so.
I mean, the reviews are saying like it's like Silence. It's along the lines of Silence of the Lambs. So it's
Nice.
just like, you know, that's it. Yeah, it caught my interest.
Awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what. I do find it to be something where the more you guys talk about it, I can't fully disagree. Right.
Mm.
It is something where when I was thinking through, especially when we were picking out like honorable mentions and we had already narrowed down the top 5, it was really kind of, yeah, you know, scraping the bottom of the barrel. Now, part of me thought maybe it's just because I had not seen quite as much, but I think it's also fair to argue that perhaps it's just not been quite as strong of, you know, what we want to see in the theaters and everything. So, you know, I'll go ahead and at least definitely say that there's a level of understanding there. And, you know, I just also want to clarify, you know, don't worry, guys. I know you're not being negative. We're just being real. If you can't handle being real, get the hell up out the screen.
That's it.
All right. So with that being said,
Actually, Barbie and Oppenheimer came out in July 20 something. They didn't come out in 4 days, but still,
Oh, really?
Okay.
Oh,
I
so
thought it was
Deadpool and Wolverine, best picture.
Yeah.
Well,
wait.
See, but that's the
We'll
thing.
see.
Like with last year, like there's nothing on a level of Barbie, Oppenheimer, or Godzilla. Like there's nothing on that level yet. So that I think that's why we're feeling that too. Like D Movie Man mentioned, like a mid-year review for what some might say is a mid-year for movies. Coincidence?
yeah.
So tough competition compared to last year.
There's
Oh,
at least one that's on our list that I would
Yes.
go as far as saying does fit in the
Yes.
category of.
Oh, easily, yes, easily, definitely.
No, I just couldn't help it. It seems we'll see, Sean. We'll see. But all right, without further ado, right? We've been definitely hyping this up. We're all warmed up, right? We got our
yeah.
stretches and everything,
Oh, yeah.
ready to start getting to it. So first up on the docket here, Sean, would you like to do the honors and take it away as far as for the first movie we're going to be chatting about here?
No, we're doing TV first, buddy.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I was, but aren't you still going first regardless? Did I got that part right? I put
Yes,
that.
that part
Okay,
you
okay.
got right, Jason.
All right. Okay. Anthony,
Yes.
you use the time stone. Use the time stone real fast.
I left it at work. I left it.
Bro, you're killing me here. I'm going to need you to go back like 15, maybe 20, 25 seconds. All right. Anyway.
Best TV.
Very nice.
All right. Because we don't forget about TV over here. So, Sean, take it away.
Perfect. So, Dan, if you want to introduce my favorite show so far of 2024.
yes.
Look, Martha, just go back home.
I have a sneaky feeling you might be the death of me.
Baby Reindeer, baby Reindeer.
Very nice.
So, who all here has seen Baby Reindeer?
Right here.
Not Jace? Jace, I thought you
Starting off
watched it.
strong.
Jay
Start
says
off.
baby reindeer.
You are Baby Reindeer.
I would have loved
so
actually if you never told me what it was about, and then you asked me what it was about, and because I never would have guessed. But tell us.
This show completely came out of nowhere for me. Baby Reindeer, I think it came out of nowhere for everybody. It wasn't really advertised very much. It just kind of appeared on Netflix, and then everyone started talking about it. And it's kind of reached that point now where I feel like it might be overhyped, which makes me sad because so many people have seen it and talked about it. And now there's the lawsuits and there's the this and whatnot. But just this story of this guy being stalked, and it's a true story, and the fact that it's written by the guy who went through it, and it stars the guy who went through it, and you really just feel his pain throughout the whole entire thing. And some people call it a comedy. And there are very comedic points, but it's also so dark. It's so real. It touches upon things that I was not ready for, and I don't think people have ever seen on TV before. Baby Reindeer. So that's why it's my pick this year, is because I have never seen anything like it before.
Yeah, that's a good point, Sean. I think something else that goes for Baby Reindeer is that the show technically is not even over yet. It's one of those things where things are still unfolding. There's interviews almost every day or every week. New things get pulled up. The people start going to Piers Morgan and stuff starts happening. So it's a matter of like, I feel like it's a good show, a great show, and it's still happening. Like, could there be a season 2 in 5-10 years? I can totally see that.
I could totally see it too. And it wouldn't be, I mean, maybe it would, but it wouldn't be shitty like Tiger King season 2.
Oh,
like,
yeah, exactly. The thing about Tiger King season 2 is like the story was done.
Yes.
And they're like, all right, so what are they doing now? And the answer was a whole bunch of nothing, right?
Yeah.
Baby Reindeer, on the other hand, no, dude. What are they doing now? Just look it up on YouTube. It's funny.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And the woman is obviously off her rocker. I don't want to get sued because I'm talking about this right now. But the lady is obviously off her rocker, and everything that he said about her in that show is obviously true. Like, it's just, but I don't know. It is funny. You're right, John. Like, it's tragically funny.
Yeah.
Can we explain for the audience, definitely not myself because I'm well aware of this already, but can we explain why it's called Baby Reindeer again?
I almost feel like it's it would be giving away just a tidbit about the show, you know?
Kinda, but I guess I would say it's sort of a nickname. I think that's what we could say.
Yeah.
Okay.
She calls him Baby Reindeer.
Yeah.
His stalker does.
She calls him a lot of things, but one of them is
True. She misspells a lot of things. Hashtag sent from iPhone.
One thing I will say about the show too, and again, I know it's based on real life, was that I like that it wasn't exactly black and white, meaning like it wasn't just straight stalker, completely evil. That's it. There was a lot of nuance, and there was a lot of like they're both feeding into this sort of very toxic, horrific relationship a little bit. One more so than the other, obviously, but it wasn't very cut and dry. Like there were moments as I was watching that show, and I'll try not to spoil it too much for others who maybe still want to check it out, where I was just thinking of the lead, and I'm like, why did you do X, Y, Z? It's like you're feeding into it now. And I found that to be very interesting, but also very just like odd, like that.
Yeah.
Because it felt like it was almost like a love-hate type thing going on. But yeah, it's a fascinating show and depressing too.
I would go as far as, if you really want to look at it, there isn't truly a protagonist in Baby Reindeer. There's a lead. Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I love your point, Anthony, because I feel like in so many other things, say you were writing this story about yourself, you would almost want to put yourself in a positive light, right? But what Richard Gadd did was so self-deprecating, and he did the complete opposite of that. Rather than making himself the hero or the protagonist, like John said, he really showed all facets of himself, including his own ugliness. And that's what makes the show feel so truthful and raw and different.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, I guess to say I'm missing out is an understatement. And no, I mean
it's an easy show to get through, Jace. It's pretty easy. It's not easy in the sense of like you're gonna feel the anxiety, you're gonna feel the stress, but it's easy in the sense of you can sit down and binge it.
Yeah.
Aren't they like 30-minute episodes?
They are, yes.
Yeah.
And it's like 8 episodes. So
that was gonna be the follow-up question, was how many episodes?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I mean, hey, it's already on the list because as soon as we were talking about it, I knew it had to be. And TV is one of those things where I do stand by as far as how we were starting off the conversations. Start off on such a strong note for the year. Like I really think there's a lot of good TV, and I think that's the only pro and con is we're getting a lot of good TV. It's just a lot more of a time investment, obviously, than jumping into a movie. Which doesn't mean it's not worth it. It just means it's more of squeezing it in and everything. So definitely got to manage to squeeze that one in. Dan, I'm curious, man. Was there anything else that wasn't already said that you wanted to toss in about the show?
No, I mean, other than this is actually my favorite show, but like we all know the thing, but this is like by far my favorite show of the year I've seen. I love it for everything.
I stole it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. My pick I do like a lot. We'll see in a minute. But no, I love this. I love this show so much. It spoke to me and it
Bless you.
made me feel things, and it was a hard watch, especially this one episode. And yeah, I love that Richard Gadd was able to point the camera at himself, and he's not a good guy or bad guy in this either. But yeah, no, I agree with everything you guys have been saying.
That's also crazy because I didn't realize that. I mean, when we had discussed things before, I knew it was based off of some true happenings, but I didn't know it was the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I mean, major props to him for just being open to even, telling the story, let alone being like, you know what? Can I play myself? Is that cool?
There's a scene in the series where he has this very infamous breakdown. And I wanted to look it up on YouTube because this happened in real life, right? So I looked it up on YouTube, and Frances, my wife, is watching with me. She goes, wow, they cast him so well. He looks just like the guy.
That's awesome.
And I had to explain that is the guy. He's actually the creator and this, that, and the other. He's like, what?
Oh my gosh.
That is so nuts. And then also, it's one of those where you must think that he must feel pretty at ease, I guess, to a degree about the whole thing if you're willing to recreate so much of it to such a large extent. You're really like, it's not just like, hey, for shits and giggles, let's try this out and have a conversation we had. No, you're putting together an entire production of a show to recreate this. So, it must be something where he's gotten better with it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he has. Who knows, right? And curious if maybe at some point, whether it's this, because it doesn't sound like maybe it happened in this season. So I think when John was saying if there's another season to come in years, I think it'd be funny if they did like the show in the show. Like if they were,
that'd be really cool.
Super meta. That could be interesting.
Actors playing the actors.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be like that's the whole second season. It could just be a segment of the show to be like, hey, we made a show about this, and it could be funny.
There's literally a Black Mirror episode just like that.
Yes, the show within the show within the show.
Actors playing actors playing actors. Yeah.
That one was trippy.
Well, another good show, though not obviously part of this year. Right? So, and who knows when the next season of Black Mirror comes out. Dan, you were mentioning as far as in the good old Privity chat that there was some comments.
Yeah, just want to say hi to everybody. But so we have Schofield.
Yes.
You will find
Long
out.
time no see.
You will find out if it counts as a 2024 movie. Maybe. That's the movies. Drew is here. Hey, Drew.
What's up, Drew?
What's up, Drew?
Patrick. Hey, Patrick.
Patrick.
Yes.
And then let's see.
It's always a takeover with him. I swear. We're taking over.
And he's not lying. Every time he says it, he's not lying.
Love your channel, guys. I agree. 2024 is relatively soft so far.
Hey,
oh, thank you, Nathan.
Hey, Nathan. And then D, as Anthony said, what he said a mid-year review for what Mike called mid-year.
Yeah.
And Eric is in the house.
Hey,
Eric.
Hey, Eric.
We might be talking about Eric soon.
Yep.
Whoa.
Eric didn't say he was getting a show. Well, is that? I mean, first of all, thank you all for being here. But my goodness, is that not the best transition we could have looked for?
Yeah,
I know it really is.
Like I'm usually proud of how I can come up with transitions, but that one just fell into our hands by the
Right in
grace
our
of God,
laps.
I feel like, all right, Dan, what's your favorite show of 2024 so far?
I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's Ted, but okay. No,
The kid's been gone for over a week.
Don't give up on him.
Eric is going to help me find Edgar.
Oh, Vincent, Vincent, Vincent.
All right.
Yo, I
Speaking
would
of
have
which.
absolutely died if you put a graphic in that just said Thorpe at the bottom. Right? That would have been.
I should have did it. I'm sorry.
Oh no! I mean, we didn't know. So, but Dan, take it away, man. Tell us why this show deserves to be in the conversation we're having right now.
so as I said, I did like Baby the Reindeer more, but Eric, I just loved as well. I binged that pretty quickly. It's juggling a lot of stuff, different stuff throughout. It's how many episodes is it? It was like 8. Is it?
I think it's 8 as well.
8, yeah. It's juggling a lot of different topics and themes and stuff, and I think it does some of them really well. And the acting's on point. I love the acting. I loved the puppetry. You see the little big monster guy, and that was Benedict Cumberbatch voicing him as well. I thought they did a great job with that. I was really thrilled pretty much the whole time.
Sweet. Well, this is one where I want to just. I thought maybe we weren't going to put each other on blast, but Sean started it off. So who's seen this one?
It's good to know who's seen it, right?
Yeah.
It's fair. That's fair. It's totally fair. Well, at least this is one where I also have put on my list, given the fact that right, Dan, you were talking about it, and it's another one that I feel like kind of just the way you guys are talking about Baby Reindeer came out of nowhere. I don't know. This is another one that I heard nothing about whatsoever. Right? It seems like they were just sneak bombing all these shows in.
Yeah. That's what Netflix does, though. It's really weird. Their advertising technique, I will never understand.
I think we kind of just rely on the fact that everybody has Netflix.
Yeah. And like their advertising is almost like people talking about the shows.
Yeah, it's a weird comparison, but have you ever seen a commercial for Chinese food?
No.
And yet we still get Chinese food.
Yeah.
When right? So it's like I haven't seen an advertisement for Eric or whatever Netflix show, but for some reason we still gravitate toward Netflix and find it.
That's a very fair point, which on that note, I've always wondered why Coca-Cola bothers advertising anymore.
Right?
Every time I see a commercial for them, I'm like, dude, you think nobody knows about you yet? Like,
right.
That's a good point.
Like we walked into the movie theater, we saw that you guys were selling it already. Like we don't need a commercial for it.
Not
Yeah.
Regal.
Yeah.
Regal's Pepsi.
Well,
So I would love to talk about Eric a little bit. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but this show is so interesting. I don't think it's like an A+ show, but I love its ambition because it is literally tackling so many different things like alcohol addiction and drug addiction and homelessness and like sex trafficking and like crazy things, and it's all taking place during the 80s. And then it has this like Jim Henson puppet show that surrounds the whole thing, and it's also like this like gritty, dark psychological thriller about a kidnapping. Like it's doing so many things, and like Dan said, it doesn't do everything perfectly, but it just swings for the fences. And if any of those things interest you, I feel like it's worth watching.
Yeah, no, you had me at Jim Henson. That sounds amazing. I've been sleeping on this, so that's why I'm glad to have these streams. I think I don't know if it was last year's stream, mid-year stream, where you guys recommended like Jury Duty or something like that.
Yeah,
so you guys come with, like the strong recommendations, and then I check it out, and I'm like, boy, where's this show been? So yeah, so I'm looking forward to checking out Eric.
I just
and Benedict Cumberbatch, you can't go wrong with him.
Yeah, that's a huge win for me as well. I'm sorry, I could not help but picture this entire time. As soon as Sean, you gave that description, the hooded Kermit meme.
Yes,
Bro, like that.
Eric vibes.
Such Eric vibes.
Oh man, that's yeah, that's what I just picture now, and I'm gonna be really disappointed if Hooded Kermit's not on the show. Um, I'm still excited to check it out, nonetheless. Well, that's one where at least I can't say too much more other than just excited to be able to check it out. Excited to find more out about it. Because again, prior to a couple of discussions we had, and then as far as this now, it's the most I have found out about the show.
Mhm.
But I was instantly intrigued as soon as I knew that Benedict Cumberbatch was a part of it. He's one of those where I just feel like it's not like everything he's in is a win, but I feel almost like Sean, how you were saying the movie in itself just swings for the fences all the time. I feel like he,
Mhm.
as an actor, just always swings for the fences, and just very
Oh, yeah.
thoroughly enjoy his performances. So excited to see that.
Yeah, and his performance in this show, he's swinging for the fences. It is like you struggle to like the character, but because the performance is so good, it's hard not to.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, no smooth transition here. I'm just
No.
not. We needed some more momentum from that last part, but nonetheless, right?
Something about
we'll go-
school, maybe being a kid. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Maybe Muppets. You know, hey, remember watching Muppet as a kid? Speaking of kids,
elementary
and
school.
speaking of school, right? We got anyway. John, would you do us the honor of talking about your pick for the
Good
favorite?
day to the fine teachers of Abbott Elementary. What?
No comment about Gregory being FOIN foin.
No, that is highly inappropriate.
All right. Abbott Elementary, season 3. I've been watching Abbott since season 1. I've been enjoying it since season 1. And 2, another, like that season just kind of upped it. But season 3 was the one that I said, this is amazing. This is the best season so far. And it seems that a lot of people are agreeing with it. I think on Rotten Tomatoes, it's at 99% right now.
Mhm.
Season 3, which is insane. It's funnier. The through line within the season just makes more sense than it did with the other seasons. And it's not like it's bad in the other seasons, but there's a story or stories being told this season that there aren't necessarily filler episodes taken away from it. Every episode deals with a certain topic, but it always goes back to the story. I love when shows or sitcoms like Abbott Elementary that I can compare to a Modern Family or even an Office, which is like a mockumentary type of sitcom. When the season is distinct and it's not just a season full of random episodes like later episodes of The Office or later episodes of Modern Family where there was nothing to look forward to and each season is just all right, let's see if this episode is funny. This season is not only funny, but this season is held together so well by the characters, the journey that they're on in this, and ultimately like what it all pays off in the final episode. Abbott Elementary, guys. I really enjoyed this season more than any.
And I couldn't help but notice from the commercial that this is an ABC show. So
It
it's what a throwback, because I feel like it's been a million years since I've just watched a show that was like from, one of the big
On cable.
Yeah, it's everything's like Netflix or streaming or something now. So that's kind of cool. Actually, it looks like a fun, like almost like a throwback. Like so that's cool.
Super fun. It's such a breeze to get through. You talk about binging because it's cable. Obviously, it makes room for commercials. So when you watch it back on Hulu, each episode's like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're breezing through it. I mean, you're eating dinner. You're like, you're spending time watching it, but you can also do stuff because it's like so easy to pay attention.
Okay.
You sound like such a dad right now, John.
I mean, I am. Anthony knows. Anthony knows the life.
I have become quite the night owl, and most of my TVs and movies and anything creative or writing or graphic design, it takes place at 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is what it is. That's fine. So now thanks to John, I have one more thing on the list to add to it.
I feel like you could binge all 3 seasons within a few days.
Nice.
Yeah.
John, I really loved what you said about them not doing just random little stories. Like there's like a through line.
Yeah.
Because I started watching the first season, and I think that's what I thought it was really funny. The cast is so good. Cheryl Lee Ralph is like a goddess. I love her. But there was nothing like really keeping me like, oh, I need to watch the next episode. So I'm happy to hear that, now that the characters are built and stuff, that they're really like building a storyline too.
Yeah, I feel like the footwork were seasons 1 and 2, and then 3 is like almost the official Abbott Elementary premiere, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's how The Office was too.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like, there was a lot of buildup, and then it was just so good for so many seasons.
Hopefully that's what's happening with Abbott.
Yeah.
I even feel that way with Parks and Recreation. It's
for sure. Same thing.
Another similar vibe, Jace. Another similar vibe.
Well, and what's funny is, John, ever since you brought up that show and we threw it into the discussion of that we were going to have it as part of the stream, I have yet to see any advertisements prior to that discussion ever since we talked. Now it's like I'm just flooded with Abbott Elementary ads. So, your phones are listening to you. But
the universe is trying to tell you something.
But it's hilarious. And I will say the little snippets, right? Because it's sometimes either a clip of something, so like a part of a scene, or sometimes just a trailer in general for it. It does seem to have, just that easygoing, like throwback to just a nice comedy where you don't have to worry about like disseminating every line by line and be like, well, this doesn't even make any sense. And why did they even do this if that doesn't work? And then blah, blah, blah. It's like, not to say that there can't be any logic presented and that it doesn't need to make any sense, right? But it's just like, you don't have to be so overly concerned with that. You could just legitimately have a good time watching it.
Yeah, so that's what it sounds like.
Well, definitely as far as one that want to keep on the radar, because I miss stuff like that, man. And it's been too long since we've had shows, movies that are just kind of good throwbacks to like when we just had like easygoing comedies that you just didn't have to worry. Yeah, right. Where there was nothing. You knew that there might be something that you might hear at some point that you may not like, but you also didn't cry a river about it, so to speak. Right? Respect. It's just something where we took the punches in stride because there was probably a punch delivered somewhere else that you thought was funny, right? So it's okay to go ahead and take one yourself every now and again. Maybe one of these days we'll get back to it. But yeah, definitely as far as another one on the list. Dan, did you add it to the list?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been wanting to watch it for a while now.
It's on the list.
His damn list, man.
Dan is the official keeper of the list.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. So far we've got 3. Right, what it seems to be like some standout, interesting, unique, different shows too. Right, not really too many similarities between any of these or what's going on. So I like the variety for sure. And Anthony, it appears you have something else to take this into a completely different direction when it comes to throwing some variety in here. So something maybe animated, dare I say?
Everything he built, everything he fought for, now belongs to me. My X-Men.
I mean, guys, tell me just even hearing that theme song again doesn't freaking get you hyped up. You know what I mean?
Oh, it feels good to hear it.
So I guess like just to start, like obviously this is a show that like goes back to my younger years, but it seems like it's a generational thing because everybody, no matter what your age is, maybe caught it in reruns or caught it years later on DVD or whatever. They really brought their A game with this. I cannot believe that they brought back X-Men, and they did such a fantastic direct continuation from a show that went off the air. I believe it started back in 92 and it ended in like 97, and it came back this year and it came back freaking strong as hell. And to top it all off, it brought in like a storyline that I'd always wanted to see. It brought in Wolverine. Well, I don't want to spoil too much, but a very famous, big, huge Wolverine story that has to do with Magneto and his adamantium. But yeah, wonderful show. I think most of us here have seen this show. And I wanted to ask pretty much everybody, I wanted to ask our voice guy here, Jace, who has a stunning voice himself. What are your thoughts on the voices for this show? Because I was pretty happy with everything overall, despite having so much nostalgia attached to the original voices. Now, a couple of the original voice actors are back on the show, but there's a few new ones too as well. So yeah, that's it. I mean, I've gushed about it enough, but I could gush about it a lot more. But yeah, the voice work. I'm just curious. I wanted to hear your take on it because I've been meaning to actually ask you about it. I never get the chance to. Here we are on a freaking live stream, so let me throw it out there.
Yeah, man. I love that. That's where the curiosity is at.
Yeah.
Because it is something that I get a big. I love that type of stuff. I'm very interested in it, and yeah, it was very interesting when they first put out the trailer. I'm not gonna lie, I heard that one line by Wolverine where he's just like, he says something about like, "Geez, keep yapping in my ear, bub," and it was just like for some reason when he said it, I was like, what?
Little off?
Yeah, I was like, oh, what is that? I don't know, man. That's and then I found out that it was still Carl Dodd, like the guy who did Wolverine from the original series. I was like, okay, so maybe I shouldn't be so quick to judge. And it's really funny how that's the only time I ever felt like that about Wolverine. When it got to the actual show itself, I'm like, all right, cool, here we go. And man, can I not give them enough credit for just absolutely knocking it out of the park with the rest of the cast? I thought everybody was so spot on. They did have to replace quite a lot. The only ones that I'm aware of that came back of the OG cast were, again, Wolverine and then Rogue. So they're the only ones that are just from the original show. Everybody else, I thought for sure, actually, that Magneto was like the original guy. Nope. Forgive me. I can't remember the names for actually quite a few of them. But point is Magneto done perfectly as far as embodying how he sounded the old show. There is actually, and this one is probably the one I feel the worst about. Not remember his name right off the top of my head, but the guy who does Professor Xavier, he's actually the same guy who they've gotten a chance to do like a lot with him in Marvel. He played the Red Skull in Endgame or Infinity War. Endgame. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. He played Red Skull when he popped back up. Yeah. And then he also did like the voice of Ultron when he was in What If. So like he's done some pretty prominent things. And anyway, he does the voice of Professor X now. And just across the board, man, like I think that's something where they just nailed it as far as really bringing back the essence of how everybody sounded. They brought back that essence with how things looked, but also updating it to some beautiful animation. And I just can't really applaud every person who was a part of that series enough for bringing back a show in such a respectable way. Something I think is really fair to say is in this particular time that we're in a situation where like everything that comes out is very quick to be judged before it's even been actually like anything's been released, right? Everybody's immediately talking about it and immediately passing like opinions of what they think it's going to be. And there was a lot of worry that, based on the way they're treating a lot of properties, especially older properties, to be fair, there's a lot of worry that, is this really the right time to be bringing this back? Do you have the best intentions while bringing this back? Are you trying to just basically dangle some keys in our face to draw us in and then just kind of ruin our past?
Wow.
And my gosh, did they really like just take the time to go out of their way and make this such a beautiful continuation of what we had, to the point where I don't want to overstep any boundaries. I'm not trying to make it seem as though it's definitively better than anything before, but I found myself more invested in what was going on in these episodes than with anything from the original series. Again, it's not to try and take anything away from the series. I just mean that as a huge compliment to what we have now.
Yeah, no, totally with you, man. And one other thing, one last thing I wanted to say about it, like to your point where you were saying about how like people are so quick to jump on things now. I'm not sure if my head was like in the sand on this a little bit, but like I feel like I didn't even see as much hate for this show. I saw a little bit online, and I'm sure if you look here and there, you can find some hate videos. And people are welcome to hate whatever they want. However, I feel like I didn't even see much. It seemed like mostly love for this show, and mostly people like really into it and enjoying it for the most part. And that says a lot, because we know damn well anything comes out that has to do with like Disney, Marvel, Star Wars. I mean, that's it. They're lined up already around the block to like start happening, for better or worse. Yeah. Whether it's honest, bad faith arguments, whatever. There's going to be a lot of voices about it. But with X-Men, there wasn't too much. There really wasn't too much, at least from what I can remember. But That's all. I'll turn it over to any one of you other guys.
No, man, X-Men 97 was an incredible show that I was surprised by, especially with my superhero fatigue going into it a week late because I didn't really care to see it opening week, and it shook me. And I really enjoyed it. But for the sake of not sounding like a broken record, because I feel like we're just going to repeat everything here, I actually don't know Sean's thoughts. I didn't even know that he watched the series. So, Sean, what did you think?
Oh, boy.
So I really wish that I felt like you guys.
Oh,
97.
no!
L's in the chat. L's in the chat.
I know I'm gonna get so much hate.
Let's hear it.
So I love the X-Men. Literally the X-Men are my favorite comic book property in general. I had a lot of problems, not with the voice acting or the animation. I thought that was all great. I had a lot of problems with the storytelling, especially like taking like something like Storm, like losing her powers and turning that into like a 1-episode arc when that was like years in the comic books. It felt like it was betraying just the storylines in general. Everything felt so rushed. There was also so much supernatural stuff going on, and it just didn't feel as grounded as I feel like X-Men should, even though, yes, it's superpowers and whatnot. Like, I love the stuff about X-Men that makes it feel like real life. And I think that's why I respond to it so much, because there are so many, what's the word? Like, you can just connect to it based upon different issues going on in the real world. And I just didn't feel any of that in this, especially in the middle part of the series. I liked the beginning, and then I also quite liked the end. But most of the episodes in the middle, I hated for many different reasons. But just because it felt like they were just rushing so many storylines just to like check off a box. Like, oh, we told that story, moving on.
Well, I will say this at least. I can definitely hear where you're coming from, though I don't, fully as far as still clearly agree, but I at least hear where your concerns are. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? The one part that, especially with like Storm, that I can't help but throw in as far as, I have very minimal issues, thankfully, with the show, but I will quickly mention as far as that was one of them. I did think that the way, it's not so much as far as the speed of it, so that's a fair point as well. It, I guess, was pretty quick. They just kind of had episodes in between that made it feel more elongated. But it was the way she got them back. I don't understand what this whole is like. If I just believe hard enough, then like it will happen. And it's like that's legitimately what happens. Like, basically she just gets like scared by this being, if you will, this creature that kind of like talks some sense in her, and she's just like, you're right, I'm a bad bitch and I got powers again. And then and not only did that, but then she also materializes her own new suit and different haircut. And as dope as that looked, I also felt like, I don't need a lot of logic here and there. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief, but like, how is this happening though? Because like that's not in her power set, like.
Well, it is now.
Yeah, the Storm storyline within X-Men 97 was my least favorite. I would tell that to anybody. I was watching it weekly. Yeah, it was disappointing. I will say, like Jace, I see where you're coming from. I obviously don't 100% agree. And my thing is, looking back on the X-Men animated series, is why the big episodes that dealt with something that the comics would have a whole series on in a matter of 30 minutes or so didn't bother me, because the original series did the same thing with all their episodes as well. Like, each individual episode would have like this huge earth-ending thing, and then the next episode would also have this huge earth-ending thing, and so I felt like it was true to that form.
Yeah,
and that I will give you, John. I agree with you on that. There was a part of me that felt like it was going to mend that issue, and it would just because we're in a time now where like serialized storytelling is a little bit more accepted, and people appreciate that kind of storytelling now a lot more than they did back when this came out. So I was hoping almost that they would expand these storylines more to what they deserve, but I do get what you're saying there.
Gotcha.
Is it like from the original series? They were actually quite, I feel like, prominently known for having like 3 to 4 episode arcs for stuff. Like they would have stories that would, be like, here's like the Days of Future Past. Wasn't that like a 4 episode mini series if you will, in there?
The Phoenix Saga too. There was a few of those.
Yes.
They had a lot of ones.
What was that episode that was like half of an episode in the video game thing?
Yeah,
like
Jubilee
that
and the
annoyed
Mojo.
the crap out of me. I hated that episode. That half episode or whatever. It's like
I loved it.
I hated it.
It was pure fun. No, it was
I
such
thought
a
it was
fun.
fun.
I hated that.
I thought it was fun.
I think it was in, good time. My biggest thing is just, can anybody define what Jubilee's powers are?
No.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
From her hands.
And I imagine that sometimes these fireworks could be just for show, and sometimes they're like actual explosive fireworks or something. Because it's just, yeah. The only other thing that I can't help but throw in there, and forgive me because I think this may have been mentioned as far as at a prior point. And I feel bad because I want to talk more about the good stuff than anything else, but I can't help but mention how absolutely freaking hilarious it was to me that after all of this hype about Professor X being gone, everything's all dedicated to him. Everybody's like doing all this stuff in his name. And then he finally comes back and everyone's like, piss off, you old bitch. And then they're just like going back to all their stuff they were doing. It's like, dude,
that was me. That was me, bro. I'm the one saying what you just said once he came back.
Well, it's like, don't get me wrong. He did come back and do essentially close to nothing. Let's be honest. But it's just really
was right.
That the impact that was made, right? Like to have it where there's so much emotion felt over, like, oh my gosh, we're carrying on in the professor's name, and how are we going to do this without the professor? Oh my God, the professor's back. Yeah, whatever. All right, so what were we doing again? Definitely. Thought that was well executed on that part. One last thing, because obviously I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent. I know we got other shows.
This isn't the X-Men stream.
Oh, I know. So I won't even ask. I won't start up a whole conversation about it. I will simply drop this as a theory real fast because I can't help myself. I like this one, and I can't take full credit for it. I just kind of, saw the same things. If you haven't seen the series, then I'm super sorry for saying this in advance. But Senior Gambit.
Plug your ears if you haven't seen it.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's too late. All right, just spoiler alert. I think that they made it a very clear sign. If anybody caught the after credit scene of the season finale, that Gambit's coming back. They teased Apocalypse, and he was making some comment holding the card that Gambit uses and saying something about like, look at all this death or something. So they got the 4 Horsemen that is like very well known to be associated with Apocalypse, and I believe he is bringing back Gambit as the Horseman of Death.
Ooh, cool. That makes sense.
It's going to be heartbreaking because, like, everybody's got mad love for Gambit. So to see him be like such a, evil dude.
I will just ask one quick question for Sean. Are you going to check out season 2 at least?
Oh, absolutely. It's X-Men. I'm gonna watch it, even though I did not watch the last X-Men movie that came out, the Phoenix one, Dark Phoenix or whatever. I just didn't bother. But like, I'll watch it because there was enough about the show that I really loved, and it brought back so much nostalgia. But I just have a problem with the storytelling. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting because they fired the showrunner from the first season, so I'm interested to see like if they listen to what people are saying about the show and how it's going to be different. So I'll definitely watch it.
Okay,
nice. Well, as much as we absolutely could continue this conversation for the rest of the evening, there is another show, one more show that we're going to go ahead and chat about real quick, and that's my pick.
Everyone wants to save the world. They just disagree on how.
There you are, you little killer.
I love how for the entirety of that we had the different banner up that was Anthony's pick X-Men 97.
It gets saved at the end. It's okay.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I wonder how many people were looking at that and they were like, "Whoa, what is this? The new X-Men trailer?
This is Jubilee's power."
Oh man. Well, I gotta be just very straightforward here. I would have had my pick be X-Men 97 as well. It was definitely my top show of the year so far. But since I am totally fine with defaulting that to Anthony because it still made the discussion. That's what I was just most excited about was that we were going to talk about it a little bit. And if there's another one to be introduced, then I'm very happy to be able to go ahead and throw this one into the ring. I do want to address something. I had seen a few comments, and I know we kind of mentioned this from before. So in case anyone's wondering about certain shows, like I'm going to throw a few as example, House of the Dragon, The Boys, things of that nature, right? It's very well due to the fact that those shows are still currently airing, and we just didn't feel it was appropriate to have them in the same ring of a discussion as all of these shows that are already completed. So, hey, look, when it comes to the end of the year and when we get to the Rubber Duckies, obviously this is a very different discussion, but this is just for what has come out up until the point that we had the discussion about making these picks. So I just want to at least address that real fast. But on to Fallout. I'm not someone who can sit here and say I'm a fan of the games, and it doesn't mean I'm not a fan of the games. I've just never played the games. So I don't know how lore accurate this really is, but it does seem like there is a lot of care and attention to detail to make this as accurate to the game as it could be. From what I can pick up on the responses of what I know of people that are fans, it seems to be like a mixed bag. I hear a lot of people that say like, oh man, as far as aesthetics go, they made it look exactly like the game, like to a T. Like everything looks exactly as it should. And there's a lot of people that feel like, hey, it's cool. They definitely included elements of the game here or there or whatever. As far as the story, that's where I hear people split, right? You got some people who are like, man, I think that was cool. That definitely represents what I remember from, certain elements of the game enough. And then I feel like there's other people that have made it very clear that they just feel like the story is where things got, tipsy-turvy. They didn't like how it went, which whenever you're doing an adaptation of something, I think that you're already running into that risk, especially with a video game, right? When you're trying to include a direct storyline, but from what I understand, they're not doing like the direct storyline of the game per se, unless I'm mistaken. But nonetheless, I enjoyed what they did. I liked it. I thought all across the board there were some solid performances. It was definitely a very interesting premise for just a show, right? Regardless of it being an adaptation of anything. I just thought it had a very unique, interesting premise that I was kind of sucked into. I think that Walter Goggins as the Ghoul is just that is a great performance there. I give him a lot of credit because I know I've heard a bunch of interviews with him that the prosthetics made it not easy to act, to say the least. So the fact that he still was able to give like a really solid performance, I think speaks a lot of volume to how good he is as an actor. And yeah, just, across the board, there's probably some things that, of course, if we were to try and nitpick here and there that, as to why it's not the greatest show ever. But I feel like at least stayed pretty consistent through and through. I like how they ended it, the season finale, without obviously saying anything to give any spoilers. Very much makes it clear that it's like directly leading into a next season. And I'm excited for that. Who's seen Fallout, everybody?
Yes, so I've seen the earlier episodes. However, I'll say, like, as far as spoilers go, if something slips out or whatever, it's fine at this point. I totally understand. But I will say, I'll talk about the bit of the show that I have seen. It starts off great. I'm loving it so far. I can't wait to continue it. I'm also not familiar with the video games, so it doesn't matter to me one way or the other about the lore. I think that's always a fun thing when it comes to the fans, like whether or not it sticks close to the source material. But yeah, I cannot wait to jump back into the show. I think it's an excellent recommendation. And I know we talked a little bit about it, and you said that it stuck the landing. So there we go. Like that, good to know. You know what I mean? How many episodes is it offhand?
8.
8? Is it 8? Yeah.
Oh wait, is it 10? No, I think it's 8. I'm pretty sure it's 8.
Yeah.
So I'm closer.
I wish it was 10.
Okay.
And that's another thing where it's like, I feel like it's just, I wonder how that became the thing. I feel like it was definitely as far as a slow drip, but now it's to the point where it's like, you can just almost assuredly guarantee that any season of anything that comes out it's at least 8 episodes. Like that's like the target for it or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get ones that are 6, sometimes you get some that are 10. Maybe there's a 12 sprinkled in there, but it's always like 8 episodes of everything now. Remember when like old cartoons used to like, with the old X-Men would run for like 57 episodes?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like,
Bruh.
oh, I didn't even realize that was all considered one season. Because then they start doing commercials for like ready for the season premiere. And you're like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
Even shows like
good
The
old
Office,
days.
I feel like The Office and even older shows like that, I feel like ran like a little bit longer. Like seasons might have like 20 or 30 episodes. I could be wrong, but yeah, that whole thing with 10 and 8 episodes, that's really become like the norm. Like the last 10, 15 years or so with TV shows, I'd say.
Yeah, at least for streaming television, yes.
Especially streaming. Yeah.
Sean, since you've also seen this through and through, what are your thoughts?
This is my strong number 2 favorite television of the show of the year. I loved this show. I also have not played the video games, but talking to my really good friend who has religiously played the games, he loved this show as well and thought that it did such a great job of capturing like the weird, kooky, off color humor that I think some people, I mean, I was a little surprised at first, like that it was so comedic, but also very like, whoa, like that's some interesting dark humor there. But I loved this show. I thought the world building was incredible. The characters that they've built, especially the 3 main characters, I loved every single one of them and their storyline and the progression. And I also thought the season finale was killer, and it just makes me want more. So yeah, this is definitely my number 2 of the year, and I absolutely recommend it to anyone who hasn't watched it.
Yeah, they're all well developed as far as the main 3. And you feel like you get a pretty good idea of who each of them are, but I think they do a great job of kind of subverting your expectations in the best of ways where, sometimes the goody two-shoes girl isn't exactly a goody two-shoes, or she learns she has to not be that way as she gets more, like hardened up by the world that she realizes she lives in. The ghoul, who you think is an absolute just brutal monster, you definitely realize is maybe not exactly entirely that way. And as far as I was about to call him Titus because that's who he goes by or whatever. What is it, Maximus?
Maximus.
Yes. So with him, and I feel like it's one of those where, again, same thing. You kind of feel like you almost get an idea of his character at some point. Like he's, definitely, oh yeah, he's like the really, really good guy. But there's a lot of things that they introduce where it's like, well, he's also like a selfish little douche kind of, but he's like still a good guy. But I can't really get a full grasp on it. And I appreciate that, because I think that in a setting of that world, right, this post, not apocalyptic, but this post-nuclear world that, based on the way that they're so segregated into their areas, I would think that it would make sense that they would almost be, like the way that they think about it, so like less matured of a thought process because they're so stuck in tunnel vision into the way that they've been raised and looked at things.
Yeah. I don't know. I love this show. I wish you guys had all watched it.
Well, since
maybe later.
Yes, no doubt.
Since we haven't, I at least want to ask this. So for Dan, John, whichever you guys want to chime in on this, hopefully both of you, since it seems as though like the newest thing lately is just video game adaptations, right? The people talked about as far as we were in the age of superheroes for quite some time, and then it still feels like to a degree we are. But that it almost seems like we are crossing over to a different age where there's just more and more and more video game adaptations, whether it's a show or a movie. I don't know. I mean, like, do you guys feel like that's the right move to make, or have you been a fan of what's been coming out so far? I don't know. Just something as far as a discussion point to see what your thoughts are on that particular subject. Also, we lost Sean.
Well, I want to. You go first. I'm sorry.
I'm interested in watching Fallout because everyone keeps recommending it. Everyone keeps recommending it to me, but I don't know. I think there's been a lot of good video game adaptations lately, even in movies. To me, like I like the Sonic movies. I like Uncharted, not just because of Tom Holland.
Dan, did you see Knuckles though? I'm just
no,
curious.
I'm not gonna watch that.
Curious how far we're gonna take this.
No, I'm not gonna watch that. And what I saw of The Last of Us, it just wasn't my thing, but I did like it. I thought it was really well made. So yeah, I think video game adaptations have a ability to be really good. So like, I'm excited.
At least it seems like it's got the most territory for stories that we're familiar with, like that a lot of people would be familiar with, that is like ripe for the picking. Like how we were kind of at a point where a lot of the people who know good comic book stories have grown up to a point where now they could appreciate seeing that as a live adaptation. That's why it's like easier to work. I think it's the same thing. You got a lot of these people that have grown up with these video games, and it does seem to be prime pickings to go ahead and try and make something out of that.
The only thing I was going to say was, coming from a guy who spent 9,000 hours in Red Dead Redemption, I would love to see that adapted into maybe like a television show. Maybe something animated might be fun. But yeah, I think I think I'm totally fine with that, with them continuing with like movies and TV shows adapted from video games. I think that it's fertile ground. Go for it. Why not? It's not all going to be good. Every now and then we're going to get like a Resident Evil 5 or something like that. But and then also you're going to get like a Silent Hill every now and then. Silent Hill being a movie that I do like, video game adaptation.
Well, it is something where I do feel like there's certain games. This is going to be the same thing for books or whatever the case is. There's certain ones that are very difficult to adapt. Like, I think Red Dead Redemption is a pretty easy one, unless you're going to do the story of the game. You just like a Western. But I feel like it's the same boat as like Grand Theft Auto. Like if they were to say, we're making a Grand Theft Auto movie, okay, but it's just the name that you're getting everybody to go to. Unless you're like doing a story from one of the games, it's tough to, like, how are you really making this Grand Theft Auto? You know how many movies you could just label Grand Theft Auto and it would probably make enough sense, So there's certain ones that would be tougher to adapt.
Yes. Fair enough.
Well, I mean, gosh, what do we think? We've talked about TV enough?
Let's do movies.
I think so.
Let's do the movies. All right. So I don't want to speak to. Is there some cool little graphic or banner? I wish I had access to see this or whatever. We got something for the movies.
You like that little? I like that little jam, man. It gets me going.
Yeah, I really like it. And that's non-copyright?
Non-copyright, baby.
Really
We'll find out.
Really nice.
We'll find out. It maybe says it, but
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Can't stop. It's stuck in my head. Well, let's see here. Wanted to go ahead and I know we got the same order that we were doing as far as before. So, Sean, would you be so kind as to kick off our wonderful movie discussion here?
So excited.
Sean's
What happens to them?
Here's a hint. It's a tragedy.
You're shaking.
It seemed like you might want a chance of being somebody else.
I mean, things get hard, you either blow up or bail. It's a bad habit.
Break a leg.
All right.
So my pick is Ghostlight. I actually just saw this like 2 weeks ago. So my original pick was Problemista, and I also absolutely recommend that movie to everyone who hasn't seen it. But I had to pick Ghostlight. This movie moved me in such an incredible way. I did drama for like my entirety of my school. So elementary school, junior high, high school, I did drama the whole time. So it like really brought me back to that. But this is like a really small independent film about this family that is going through a really tough time. And I'm not going to ruin it here, but it's built out in a way that is so interesting because you don't know exactly what they've gone through at the beginning of the film, and you slowly start learning throughout the film what exactly this family has gone through and the trauma they've experienced. But the dad is this like really gruff, stern, like construction worker. And he basically gets found by this woman who's in charge of this little theater company that's failing, and they have no money. But he comes on, and they're doing a theatrical performance of Romeo and Juliet. And so he kind of gets thrown into this like drama group of adults who are all kind of kooky and crazy and have their own baggage and stuff. But it is funny as hell. It's also so powerful and moving. I cried multiple times. And also the family in it, the mother, the father, and the daughter, they're actually literally mother, father, daughter in real life. Wow. So you have that like organic feeling of this family already, and the performances are profound, especially from the lead gentleman. I was just completely shocked and blown away by this movie. It came out of nowhere for me.
All right.
Well,
Sounds awesome.
Speaking of coming out of nowhere, I didn't even know this thing was out until you had mentioned it.
Yeah, it just came out in theaters like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
IFC, who Patrick is obsessed with, so I'm sure he'll appreciate the fact that I picked an IFC film. They released it in theaters for like a week, and then it disappeared. So obviously, I just really hope this movie doesn't get lost. Dolly De Leon from Triangle of Sadness is in it. John, do you remember her in the movie?
I mean, she's the only good thing about the movie.
Exactly. I feel the same way. She is so amazing in this film. Like, literally, you're just drawn to her. Like, I cannot wait to see her get more big parts. But I hope you guys check this out. It's a special, special film.
I've seen it.
Nice.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Man, I am so interested in it. I like a good little hidden gem.
I
And not only the story behind it, but having Dolly De Leon, which I thought is an incredible actress, and her performance in Triangle of Sadness really won me over. I mean, me, along with a lot of other people, say she was number 6 for Best Actress that year.
Absolutely. Yeah, she could have been in. I would have been so happy to see her in there, even though I hated that movie.
Yeah, same.
Dan, I want to hear your thoughts on the movie.
So yeah, no, it hit me out of nowhere. I was very excited for it. I think it was in my list of what was anticipated of that month. I love that it's a daughter, an actual daughter, an actual father, an actual mother. I think that just makes it feel, not that actors that aren't related don't make it feel real, but like they just like they were real. They literally looked like they were on screen, acting as if they were a family. I love that aspect of it. I love just the healing theater, like how theater heals oneself, and how theater has helped them grow and, just mature and learn to deal with certain stuff. Because like Sean said, I don't want to give anything away. But I love how it's structured, too.
Yes.
The reveals, they're not like, there's different reveals that they just kind of sometimes just casually put in there. And you don't really know what's going on. So yeah, no, it was so good. I loved the Romeo and Juliet of it all, and how it mirrored what was really happening.
Yeah, the screenplay to me, in a perfect world, it would absolutely be nominated for Best Screenplay. It is one of the best structured, layered screenplays I've not seen personally, but like just watching the movie, you can that screenplay is so damn good. It's crazy, like how they take Romeo and Juliet and how they take what's happening in the real world and put them together, and how powerful that is. It's really cool.
So would you think, is this maybe even an early Rubber Ducky possible pick for you in terms of like screenplay at least?
Oh,
Hidden
100%.
More of a hidden gem,
best screenplay. Honestly, best supporting performance, Dolly De Leon. Maybe even best lead for the dad, for sure.
All right, cool.
Wow.
Sounds good.
And multiple considerations. I love that.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see how
nice.
the rest of the year goes.
Oh, sure. I'm glad there's something, though, that is within the discussion that might have a chance there. And also, just to make sure that we're all aware and everything, that this is the honorable mentions. We have yet to reach actually the collective top 5. Right? Just to go through that there. But to continue the ball rolling, Dan, you've also got a heck of an honorable mention that we can go ahead and chat about next.
Be careful what you wish for.
A lot of rich people, they just want an extraordinary experience. Then it gets old.
If you need a sous chef, I'm a good one.
Make the dessert, Jack.
I like that subtle little drop before the.
That is the first time I've ever seen anything about that movie. What is this?
Really?
Yeah.
So good.
This movie blew me away.
Wow.
Yeah, it was such a surprise. Like, I had heard great things about it, and my expectations were high, and I still loved it so much. It's so intriguing, suspenseful. You don't know what's going to happen. I actually wish that trailer didn't even show all that. Because I knew little to nothing about this movie going in. I knew the book basically, and I loved it. I thought it was so well done. So in the ending, I think it wrapped up things really nicely. I thought it was a really good screenplay as well.
Where can we find this?
Yeah,
VOD is where.
Yeah, VOD. It's on right now. It was another limited release by Magnet releasing. It premiered at like Fantasia Fest last year. Very small, limited release this year. So another great hidden gem. This movie is.
Wow.
It is so like literally, I had no idea what was going on the entire movie, and it just like the tension builds throughout the whole entire thing. Like you just can't breathe through the whole movie. It's crazy.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I was so impressed with it. Yeah, it was so good. Jace or Anthony, you haven't heard of it either, I'm guessing.
No, but you guys are doing a good job selling it for me, so I definitely want to check it out. Absolutely. It sounds
going knowing little to nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like such a weird, like I read the synopsis and I had no idea. I'm so happy, like, and the trailer does show a little bit, but you still have no idea what this movie is about. Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
Wow, dude, I'm shocked. I'm that person that knows what's releasing and what's released. That caught me by. I thought that was fake. I thought that was a fan film. I thought maybe Dan made that movie and it's his honorable mention.
Dan's trying to like plug his movie in here.
Yeah.
Is it in 4DX? Yes.
Shot in the upside.
Oh my goodness.
No, yeah, the only time that I remembered a reference to this movie was, Dan, when you first mentioned about like, hey, you guys should check this out, but go in knowing as little as possible. And yeah,
that was this. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise that trailer is the most that I've seen for it as well. So I'll leave it. I purposely won't watch anything else of it before actually just getting into it.
Yeah.
100%. But I'm excited. I'm excited for people to discover this movie. I think it could be like by the end of the year, if it starts gaining momentum, it's kind of like Last Stop in Yuma County too. I feel like that's another great hidden gem of the year. But this one, for me, What You Wish For, is way stronger in the screenplay and just the tension building. So I feel like Last Stop in Yuma County has gotten a lot of attention, and this one not enough.
Yeah, and the third act for this is much better than.
Oh, so good.
I like rented it for like 48 hours and I almost watched it again within that 48 hours. I didn't, but no, I loved it. So yeah, I definitely recommend it to everyone.
Good enough to almost watch again within 48 hours.
They should put that as the tagline of the film on the poster.
John, do you also have an honorable mention that's good enough to maybe watch twice within 20 or 48 hours?
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? Well, you're American, okay? Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
Nice.
Civil War. Very, very surprising. So this is Alex Garland, right?
Mhm.
And he did Annihilation, he did Men, and now he does Civil War.
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. Before I went into Civil War, so much hype. People are saying it's like the best movie of the year. I don't agree with that sentiment, but I get where the sentiment comes from. It is an extremely well-made movie. I pulled up like my review just to have some points out because it's been since April since I've seen the movie, but it is extremely haunting, very real, like strikingly real. Not only the relationships that the characters have with each other, not only coming off as like somebody writing dialogue, but as people just being people. But the way that they handle PTSD is almost uncomfortable because it's not necessarily over the top. It's very grounded and internal, and it makes you feel like icky. I think the whole film makes you feel icky, right? I hate to be using a childish word to describe this movie, but it's a great way of explaining it. A really good movie, honestly, and the ensemble. I mean, we're talking about by the time we get to Rubber Duckies, possibly even being nominated. The ensemble, we got Kirsten Dunst is in this movie, but for me, Kaylee Spaney really impressed me.
So good.
And it's funny because she was getting a lot of talk for Priscilla last year, and I thought that was a lot of hype. And then she doesn't get as much talk here, and I thought she was a lot better here than she was in Priscilla. Kaylee Spaney is her name. That being said, I know that I didn't give you guys an update on time, but Civil War actually wouldn't have even been my honorable mention.
Oh no!
Oh no, that's okay because Civil War is still a great honorable mention.
Okay. Sorry, John.
No, you're okay. My honorable mention truly would have been The Bike Riders.
Oh, wow!
What
really?
a great freaking movie, bro! It's my third favorite movie of the year. It's number 3 for me. Jeff Nichols. We've been waiting well over a year, maybe almost 2 years for this movie, and I thought it delivered. I thought it delivered big time. Bike Riders. I'll leave it there just because I don't want to like go over. You guys can touch on either, but I'll leave it there.
Well, shoot.
Nice.
Well, I mean, I was already excited to see Bike Riders, but after some
and
praise
it
like
comes
that,
out on VOD tomorrow, by the way.
Whoa.
Wait, what does Bike Riders?
The Bike Riders, yeah. So I'll watch it tomorrow.
I enjoyed it as well. I didn't love it as much as John, but I really liked it.
I've heard very mixed things on it, so I'm like kind of shocked.
Yeah, no, I'm a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm a 4. I'm a 4 out of 5 with Bike Riders.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you have it higher than Civil War. What do you have Civil War at?
A 3.5.
Huh.
Yeah, a 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Dang, I think my Civil War at a 4. Not sure. Maybe a 3.5.
I have Civil War at a 4 too. Civil War, I thought the first hour was incredible. I thought Kirsten Dunst, who I don't like at all, she bugs.
I'm with you, Sean. I'm with you.
Dude, she bugs. I don't know why, but she does. And I loved her in this movie. I thought her performance was very powerful. Someone who's so jaded and like just see everything start crumbling in front of her. It's like she loses all humanity and hope. Like it's a great performance. But the ending didn't work for me at all for Civil War, unfortunately.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
I
thought
agree.
it was a kind of a cop out. But besides that, I think it's a great film. And the Bike Riders, I'm excited to see.
And I agree about Kaylee Spaney. She was fine in Priscilla, but I don't understand how she got that award. And I don't want to be mean, but she was so much better in this. I didn't think she was that great in Priscilla. She was fine. So I totally agree about her.
And she's going to be in the new Alien movie.
Romulus. I'm excited to see.
Yeah, which looks good, but my only gripe with it is it looks like Alien.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like anything new.
It feels like just a straight reboot, but that's just the trailer. Maybe that's
even shot for shot.
Yeah.
I also don't understand why they feel the need to always get a Sigourney Weaver like woman for it. Like you don't need that for it to be an Alien movie. You know what I
We
mean?
need a
Like,
Sigourney Weaver
that's a funny point,
legacy
Jason,
sequel.
You're right.
so they always make an effort to do that. I just,
We need a Sigourney Weaver legacy sequel. Let's do it.
yeah. Well, exactly, right? Because look, if you want Sigourney Weaver that bad, then just bring Sigourney Weaver back. I mean,
Yeah.
Exactly.
she's still kicking. She's still kicking. So
Guys, so I'm actually gonna be heading out.
Okay.
But before I head out, I do want to share a video. I was able to. Hopefully, I can put it on. You guys have done this before, right?
Yeah. Depends on how the size, but yeah, it should.
No, it should be short. Is it this one? It is. Okay, so this was the other day. I was at Disney Springs, and I was able to record a pretty cool video, and I wanted to share it with you guys.
Aw.
Oh, yay. Is it loading?
Yeah, it's loading.
Okay, then perfect. That gives me the time to squeeze in. Dan, that cracked me up how you were like, oh, just
All right, it's in some. I think somebody has to play it.
Wait, what, Jace?
No, I just love how like as he was like, oh, can I do this? And you're like, oh, it depends on the size.
Yeah. I love that too. I thought
It's in, but I think you guys have to put it in. Somebody.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's keep it going, right? Depends on the size. You got to put it in. You got to.
Let me see. What's it? GB?
No, GB is Anthony.
Okay.
Just guide it by the shaft.
Where is it?
I don't see.
Okay, maybe let me click on it.
Move the pubes. You might have to move the.
Just.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a forest sometimes.
It's not. You guys don't see it on your end?
Maybe we can do it next time, if anything, which might be 6 months from now. No,
don't say that.
Fortunately,
let me see. I might be able to just share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Give it a shot.
That could work. But
yeah, I was gonna say because I've done that with stuff before.
Let me just load it.
Oh wait, John. I think. Wait, let me.
Wait. Give me a second.
Oh.
Wait, did you find it?
Yeah. You want me to try it?
Oh, you found it? Yeah, if you found it.
All right, let me.
Yep.
Don't you think? I'd say so.
What the fuck?
Surprise!
Wait, what?
Oh, what?
That was a green screen, no?
That was not a green screen.
It was not a green screen.
Bro, whoa.
Play one more time.
But you get the point.
Yeah, play one more time. Maybe it won't be as glitchy.
Sometimes it kind of feels like a fever dream, don't you think?
I'd say so.
Come on, man. How are you gonna pull some stunt like that and not say jack shit about it?
We wanted to surprise you guys. We're like, we're waiting for the stream to tell you guys.
Oh my god.
When did this happen? What happened? In what circumstance did this happen? I need all the information. Okay.
Mr. Anthony was on a vacation. If you guys knew.
Yeah, no, they didn't. No, because I didn't say. I've never said anything.
Yeah.
What? Oh, really, Anthony? That's funny.
Yeah, no, this is the first time. But I didn't say anything for this moment. That's why. And it's been a night. And to be honest with you, it's been a nightmare to not say anything in a chat or accidentally let it slip out. That I got to meet John and his wife and his family, and it was a pleasure. And I will share photos with you guys and afterward. And it was just
when
beautiful.
Did this happen?
This was a few weeks ago. This was
just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was. So this was before my dad passed, and And so Anthony was on vacation in Orlando, and a few weeks beforehand, he called me to like plan a day that we can just meet up and eat dinner and be with the families. And we're like, yeah, let's do it. And so I think it was a Friday, and we went to Disney Springs, and I met Anthony's wife and his kids, and we ate dinner, we saw a show, and we hung out, and it was a good time. It was a really good time.
Oh my God, that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
John's family when we went out there.
I know, that's what Anthony said too. He's like, did the guys get to meet your family? I said, they actually didn't. No,
Didn't. No.
Next time.
It was all boys' time when we got together.
It was
yeah.
Super Boys time.
Yeah.
Well, this time was a family thing, but it was just incredible.
We
and,
looked like one big Italian family, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, what did we eat?
Pizza.
Hey.
But you probably didn't get COVID.
Was it pepperoni?
Pepperoni pizza. That's what I told Anthony. I told Anthony that's a pepperoni pizza.
Oh yeah, no, and how Sean was saying, yeah, no COVID on the pizza, right? There was
Yeah, no.
Zero COVID on the
because it
pizza.
wasn't a Stranger Things pizza. That's why.
Yeah, that's exactly. Anyway, this is a secret we were holding because we wanted to see your actual reaction and share it. So
I didn't even know how to react at first. I thought that was just a fucking joke. Like I thought it was
it's
a
real.
skit that you.
I
you
literally
filmed.
was like, what in the green screen is this? Like he like put Anthony in a thing with him.
Nope,
No,
Anthony,
and
nope.
also, because the video
Wow.
was choppy, it seemed like it cut from John and then cut to Anthony. So I was just like, wow, how'd you guys like make it look so believable that you're in the same? But then I thought it was just a skit.
Nope, not a skit. It was real. It was real.
Oh man, that's so awesome.
We have pictures and stuff. I'll post them maybe tomorrow or the next day. Now that the secret is out.
Bro, at
so
this
we
point,
were
I better
holding
see
it.
Anthony on an episode of the Man of Movies podcast.
I know. I feel duped.
I have officially met the entire Cinema Squad.
Yes, there you go.
Aw.
And Dan, you're next because you're in Buffalo. You're not far away, so I'll be knocking on your door. It's just that, you know.
I love your reactions.
Yeah.
It's just I like didn't know what to think at first.
But hey, listen, it was a great time. Anthony and the family, like it was awesome. It's like we clicked like seamlessly, and it went super good, man. Super good.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A lot of fun.
He had pictures of like his little one with my little one, which you got to send me, and it was awesome.
Oh man, Anthony, did your kids come up to you afterwards and be like, "Yo, so could you ask John if Francia seeing anybody?"
Oh, jeez. You know, it's funny. I got to finally use this lame line. Like I was talking to John's wife, and I was like, "It's okay, ma'am. I'm from the internet," and I just always wanted to say that. I don't know.
It was so cool. And then like Anthony's son was all like, he's from the Cinema Squad, right? He's from the cinema. And I felt famous like for a little bit, you know. I felt famous.
That's so cute. Oh, you guys are killing me.
That's awesome. Oh my god.
Yeah, but no, it was good, man. Anthony's older son is like super into movies too. Like he was able to hold conversations with us and everything. And yeah, I was surprised.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Anthony, you taught him how to talk, huh?
I did. Next up, walking.
It's a miracle.
I apologize for the tangent. It was something that if we did end early, I was gonna end the stream with this, but because I have to dip a little bit earlier, I said we have to do this before it continues.
Yeah,
I love it.
Well, that's a nice one. Thank you, John. I'm glad you uploaded it. I wasn't sure, you know, but
Oh, you're good.
I appreciate it, man.
And yeah, pictures will go up probably tomorrow.
All right.
I love it.
Very good.
My friends, I am going to go out. Can I do another slight tangent? Very slight.
Yeah.
I want to get this out on recorded video. You guys know I'm somebody, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I just wanted to tell you guys face to virtual face how appreciative I am of our friendship and of each one of you individually within these last 2 weeks. It has been the absolute hardest time of my life. I wasn't sure if I was going to even come on, you know, like I'm still dealing with it. And I'm happy I came on because I was able to have a good time with y'all. And I was able to tell you guys right now to your face, like, love you, appreciate you, and I did not overlook any of your condolences or any of your encouragements. Seriously, that's like deep in me. So thank you for real, for real. Before I go, I wanted to say that.
Love you, John.
Love you,
Love
man.
you, brother. My guy.
I am super happy you were able to make it, man. I really am. So that's yeah, we'll definitely, as far as continue chatting some, but damn, thank you for saying that, man. I appreciate you. Love you right back.
Yeah.
My guys, I'll be watching.
Can't wait to see you soon.
Yes, for sure, for sure. All right, guys, I'll see you.
Bye, John.
Bye.
Bye, Johnny.
All right, let's all take a moment to fucking cry. Okay. Don't act like you don't want to. If you don't got tears in your eyes, then I don't believe you have a heart inside of that body of yours.
Anthony, I hate you.
That was very nicely executed, Anthony. Well done, sir.
I took acting classes in college, so.
No, you know all you had to do.
You guys met. I'm so happy you guys did, though. But now we have to meet.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. And then we could like mess with John and just show it to him. Just send him the video. Be like, hey, we went to Florida and left you out of it. No. No. I'm thinking New York or something like that or whatever. We all meet. It'll be awesome. I can't wait for it. I can't wait.
I would love to do a New York trip.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, that'd be great. Actually, yeah, that'd be great. I would definitely be down for that.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to find somewhere in the middle, though, for Dan and Anthony, though, right? Because you guys are, what, 3 hours apart?
No, we're like 7-ish.
Whoa,
Yeah.
holy shit, really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
It's a 7-hour drive.
I didn't realize I was that far off, or that there was even that much of New York to be driven.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Oh, even Florida too, like getting from one side of the state to the other. But yeah, New York's like the same way. Jersey too. It's like it's huge. It's just like you could get to another state, quicker or whatever, or get it on an airplane. But whatever, that's generally how it is with airplanes. Is that fast?
Isn't that just weird? Doesn't that just put in perspective as far as how like little of places we've been? Like even if we're just, I've traveled so damn much. It's like, dude, just think about it. Like, you can drive 5 hours and still be in the same state and not even know where you are now. Like you feel like you're in an entirely So man, it's just weird. Put stuff, like I said, in perspective there. Well, no, I'm super, super happy that I got a chance to go down. And yeah, I'm super jealous as well. Like that's just
too.
I feel like Anthony was just studying. He's like, I got to be prepared. And he was just watching all the Andrew Garfield interviews where they were like, are you in No Way Home? And he's just like, no. Except you didn't even have to worry about being prepared with it because he's like, I'll just make this even better and just not even fucking mention anything to anybody so I don't have to worry about the questions at all. Because damn well if you would have said you were going to Florida, we would have been like, well, you going to meet up with John?
Yeah, that's the thing is that come on, you guys know that there are things where if you say this, then the next there's a string of questions that come afterwards. So sometimes you just have to be quiet, but sometimes it's okay to be quiet about a thing if it's a fun surprise. So that's
absolutely.
Yeah, like a surprise birthday party or something. Don't try not to be the guy who it's like, whose birthday is it today?
I love the comment from Eric too, as far as getting to Canada quicker than getting over to Anthony. That's weird. Be like, yeah, I can get to an entirely different country faster than someone else in the same state.
Yeah.
That just sounds weird. Well, let's take this opportunity. All right, since we've gotten a chance, we had that very nice moment as far as a big surprise, to say the least, at least surprised the majority of us. And let's at least finish off because we were right at the tail end of our honorable mentions. I'm really happy that we got a chance to throw John's out there before he dipped out. So perfect timing, if that's fair to say. And then we'll end off with this last one that I had to throw in, and then we'll actually get to the top 5 an hour and 40 into this.
Hey,
Anthony
needs to go too.
You have to stop that motion, and Anthony has to go now.
Okay.
Stop that
man, I was
motion.
all like prepared as far as we got 2 honorable mentions left. Anthony, we're just gonna forget about your honorable mention. I'm just joking. Let's do Anthony's honorable mention.
I want to go. I want to go. What happens when it takes on a life of its own?
There we go. See, when you watch like sick shit trailers like that, you're like, why would anybody meet this guy outside the internet? Anyway, so this movie is called Stop Motion. it stars. I'm gonna massacre her name, but I believe and I wanted to say her name because she was so good in this. Aisling
Aisling.
What was it? I'm sorry, Sean.
Aisling Franciosi.
Thank you. What Sean said. She is awesome. So what this movie is about is it's a horror movie, but at the heart of it, there's lots of stop motion animation. Real quick, the lead's mother is a stop motion animator. I believe she has arthritis, so her hand's very painful. She can't do her work, so she basically enlists her daughter to do it. However, there's a lot more to it than that because the mother character in this is just very domineering and overbearing. And I would say that this entire movie is basically a psychological horror. You never quite know what's real, what's not. And there's lots of stop motion animation in it that's very that I would say evokes like Mad God and the Phil Tippett film that I've like recommended a 1,000 times on on this stream and elsewhere and even on my channel. If you're into like creepy, morbid, weird stop motion horror, we don't quite get enough of that in this. I'll say that as like a slight criticism. However, we get enough of it to sort of whet your appetite if that's what you're here for. Other than that, it's just a weird, odd little movie. It leaves you thinking. It leaves you kind of creeped out. That's for sure. And I was a fan of it. I have a couple of criticisms, but for the purposes because I know we're running a little late, I won't go too far into it. But yeah, stop motion is a very solid film. It's definitely in my top maybe 5 this year, I'd say, for horror, although I haven't quite seen enough yet, unfortunately. But yeah, have any of you guys had a chance to see this yet? And if so, did you like it? Or let's see if Sean liked it because he didn't like X-Men. So we'll see if he
No, I go very back and forth on this movie because there's so much about it that I appreciate. Yeah. And Anthony, I love that you are like me and you both have this love for stop motion animation that I don't think a lot of other people do. So I appreciate that about you so much. So I love the stop motion scenes in this film. Like they're so weird and they feel so handmade, and it like kind of really captures the creepiness of what stop motion is. So I love those scenes. There's a lot of visuals in this film that really stuck with me that like I still have not forgotten since I watched it. On a narrative plane, I don't think this movie works completely, but on a like horror visual level, I think it's a standout.
Yeah, it's like and I actually agree with that. I feel like it didn't bother me quite as much. I think even the guys from Fish Jelly, they sort of hit the nail on the head too, where they were saying like a little more substance in this movie would have gone a long way. And I think even I'm a fan. Yeah, I'm a fan of the movie anyway, but I tend to agree with that. And then again, I'm a little conflicted because part of me also likes that it's so open-ended and you're allowed you're allowed to have your own interpretation about what the hell it is that you're witnessing, and more specifically where it ultimately goes in the end. Not to spoil it for those who are maybe curious to check it out. I believe it's running on Shudder right now for those who are interested in seeing it. So that would be my honorable mention.
Yeah, I'm interested in it because of the stop motion aspect.
Yeah, at least for that much, I would say check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and all of those scenes are they are so creepy.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's one that's got me. I really anything stop motion. I feel like that's an art that I hope doesn't die out because it seems to be obviously not anywhere near as prevalent as I don't know. It's fair to say when it was more prevalent. I don't know the history of it well enough, but it just does seem like it's almost like like an ancient way of doing something, and I say it very lightly, you know what I mean? But like to where I hope that as generations continue, that they still carry that on, and that people still do it because it's such like a cool craft, and it always ends up having such a delicately unique look that you can't replicate. Like I don't feel like there's a way that you could make something like that. You know what I mean? No matter what you do, it's just it's either that or. And I think that's what makes it more unique is that you can't really do something to replicate it and give it the same look.
Yeah. Like even if you do CGI,
before, like with CGI, but like the thumbprints and the handprints, like in the clay and in those things, like you can't replicate that. Like no matter the greatest CGI in the world, you couldn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's just a certain touch to it, right? There's a certain touch, like there's almost an element of a flaw within it, if you will.
Yeah.
That, like, you know what I mean? It's like you need that where everything's not quite so perfect. Like that's the thing is with CGI, you can program it and format it so that it is seamless and perfect in the way you want it to be, assuming that you're good at doing that type of stuff, right? But with this, again, there's just like something that it's not that I would call it off, but it's just not so smooth and seamless in a way that benefits it. It's something that is for the better that it does that. I really appreciate it.
Agree 100%. And it's like, and I think another quality that it has over CGI, and I'm not shitting on CGI. CGI can be beautiful too, but one other quality it has is that I feel like because it's real, you feel like you could touch it and feel it. Whereas with CGI, ultimately, it's always pixels. Even as brilliantly lit and as textured as CGI can be, even if it's just a hunk of clay, like there's something mentally where you know it's there, you know you can touch it, and you know somebody is manipulating it, moving and bringing it to life. So yeah, no, I could go on and on about this movie and stop motion. So we'll save it for the next
Such
stream.
a nerd about this stuff.
We should do a thing or something, Sean. Maybe if we get anything out of this, maybe a project where we blab
We
about
should
our
do it.
stop motion.
I
thing
love
or
that.
something like that. That might be fun.
Stop motion.
Top 5 or just something like that might be fun.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I guess now is it? I'm just joking. I know it is now. I had forgotten as far as the that order for a second. I thought I had it down.
Now we're in your kingdom.
That's oh yeah, that's right. Go ahead and step into the kingdom over here, and maybe you'll see what I'm talking about in just a moment. If that's
Together, you will die. No, together, stronger.
That's right. That's right. Kingdom of the goddamn Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
I love how this franchise just like really takes the cake with the most words in every one of their titles. Everything is the something of the something of the something.
Yeah.
Right. And it's always the rise of the Planet of the Apes, the dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Man, I got to say, as far as to try and continue the franchise past where they had left off with Caesar, I thought it was a bit of an ambitious feat, right? Because I don't know about you guys, I really like the last trilogy that they did, right? I thought it was just very, very well executed. I think that, you know, just like with anything, you could always point out certain criticisms. That is just fair, right? I think that the real peak of that trilogy was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I think that is just like to my opinion, right? Humbly is the best one of those three, but they all are so strong. And Andy Serkis did such a damn good job of leading the charge with those. But I give credit to everybody, obviously, because, you know, he did a good job of maybe leading the front, but everyone does such a believable, good, genuine job of seeming, I don't know, like an ape, right? And I think that it was a great way of bringing back such an old franchise but keeping it respectful. So again, now that you got a really good trilogy under your belt, I don't blame them for wanting to continue it, but it was like, where are you going to go? I think it made the most sense to be so detached from Caesar and his story, and yet still so connected with the tissue in a way to where it's not as though Caesar had some direct impact on these particular apes as far as like they knew him, but that it gave us an opportunity to explore something that I thought was so damn interesting, which is just how stories can be like manipulated and twisted for almost whatever purpose that you'd like over time. And the fact that Proximus is literally he's using the words of Caesar as if they are like this religious text to drive apes to do things for his own personal gain, as opposed to what the message of it actually was, which was just to, you know, like live harmoniously. Wow. Right? It's nuts. To me, it started making you kind of question like another movie that is going to be in the discussion at some point here. But it started making me, you know, like really think about the way religion can be looked at without trying to twist this up. You know what I mean? And how like over time, words, stories, certain things could be kind of, you know, presented in a certain light that is, you know, you can't necessarily guarantee that the original people who maybe made this message or spread the message in the first place would feel the exact same way or think exactly as the people that are spreading it and talking about it now. It was, you know, a pretty deep theme and something that I felt was very creative for the fact that it's just another Planet of the Apes movie. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you could easily argue, like, they always have this ongoing question of, are apes and humans going to live side by side? Clearly fucking not. Otherwise, you were going to stop making movies, right? But since that is kind of beating a dead horse, that's why I think it's so interesting that they could introduce something like this, right? That there is, now you have something contextually on top of that to think about. So it's not just as simple as, can humans and apes live side by side? It is, how does this develop over time, and like seeing it play out, and you know that it's more complicated than that. It is not even just simply apes versus humans. Even the apes within their own world have like civil differences, if you will, just like people. So it's definitely something that I thought it was a worthwhile honorable mention for sure. I think, man, Kevin Durand deserves a shit ton of credit as his performance as Proximus. Like, he stole the movie for me, and I really think it's a shame that we didn't actually see more of that character. I think what he did to come up with the voice, if you see any interview with him, you could tell how proud he is of the voice that they made for it, because he'll do it like unprompted at any like interview that they're talking to him about it. It's like go into character. And I fucking love it. It's so great to see how much he liked that role. Like, I see him he's more excited about talking about Proximus than forgive me, Owen Teague, right? Yeah. Then Owen Teague was talking about playing Noah. Like, he was still excited, but like Kevin Durand's like, dude, this was a great time. All in all, yeah, I could keep going, but I thought, again, a good addition to the franchise. Nice way to continue things after a trilogy that was already well done. And it did leave it at a point where, although some of it may seem kind of predictable, I am interested. I'm curious to see, as far as visually, how this will play out from here. And rant. Does anybody else want to chime in?
No, well, like I'll just jump in real quick, and I'll say, like, you touched on a very good thing there. I'll just say real quick, like, a lot of the best sci-fi, this movie is working on like a deeper level. If you want to put some, well, it's working on the one level that you can just watch it and enjoy it, and it's pretty damn badass. But then on another level, yeah, you talked about how religion can be manipulated years after the fact, and this message can be sort of twisted and, you know, distorted, and gain this whole other following and uprising, and wars stem out of it. We don't need to go into how this is, you know, basically real life, but yeah, it's working here. It's brilliant, and what a way to continue the franchise. Can't wait to see it continue. I'm glad to see it continue. I was like you. I was like, oh, you're doing 4. You guys kind of nailed it with the trilogy there, but they're still rocking and rolling. So yeah, awesome. Cannot wait to see where it goes from here.
Am I correct? I think we've discussed this before, guys. Is it right that like this is the beginning of a trilogy, and they plan to do another trilogy after this?
Yeah,
I think that's the plan.
Oh my god. About to see some, like, oh, that's a lot of apes, man.
It is a lot of apes.
Right. Well, and then it makes me wonder if they're just they got to do the same thing. My guess would be this, that they would play out the rest of the story of Noah, right? The same way that we saw the story of Caesar. And then you have to jump forward again very much. Like, I'm guessing they're just going to jump another 300 to 400 years, or however close would be the appropriate gap to lead right back in. I would imagine that they want to end this thing to lead just either right back into the original movie, like to where it like leads just beautifully into that, or that they might end the entire thing with them remaking the original.
I would like that.
I feel like that's probably the direction they're going. But even with this one, we're already getting signs of like getting like all of these nods to like the infamous The Beach scene, right? From the original movie. So we're already kind of getting there like now. But yeah, man. I mean, did this one jump ahead like 200, 300 years or something? So we already jumped ahead a little bit. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, we have to jump ahead again. But
I just think if you don't, you run too much of the risk of it being rinse, cycle, repeat. Right, like, and you already have too much rinse, cycle, repeat with it being humans versus apes and humans versus apes and humans versus apes. So you gotta introduce something new to freshen it up a bit. Well, as far as honorable mentions go, I think those are pretty damn good, dare I say.
I agree.
You know what's even better than honorable mentions? The actual legitimate top 5 themselves. So without any more waiting around, we have kept you on the edge of your seats for 1 hour, 56 minutes, and approximately 11 seconds at this point that I've said this. So we're going to go ahead and actually talk about the top 5 of 2024 so far. Remember, this is not so much a pick individually as it is a collective unanimous choice. But let's get on into it, folks.
Number 5 is...
My name is Gary Johnson, and my simple question for you is, who is your hitman?
Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
I'm really glad that you guys put this on my radar, because just like everything else we've been talking about with Netflix within the stream about how they don't seem to be advertising in a way that seems to be, I don't know, effective, if you will. Like maybe I'm just missing it, right? But I didn't see anything. Didn't see any trailers about this. Didn't hear about it. I mean, to the point where if you guys remember when you first brought it up and we were talking about what we should put in the top 5, you were like, Hitman. I was like, the video game?
That's what I was thinking too when I first heard about this Hitman. Yeah, the video game, which I think they did movie of that as well, right? They did do that
too.
Yeah, I was gonna say they did 2 of them. Yeah. And so yeah, I'll put it this way. I like this Hitman much more than the video game adaptation.
Yeah.
And I really agree that this should be in the top 5. So just to throw my thoughts into the ring first to kick this off, guys, this is the type of movie that I miss. I just genuinely miss stuff where you could sit back, turn your brain off, but not like, okay, let me just have some dumb fun. Like just not have to get so overly caught up in every single thing where it's like this intricate breakdown of why did they do that, and this doesn't even make sense that they would do that if they did this then, and it's just like, and when I say that, I want everyone to be aware I'm including myself in that whole little like right, because I do that.
We do that.
Yeah, right. It's fair. It's totally fair to point that out. And you know what? I think that there are certain movies and shows that it's fun to do that with, right? I don't actually knock that concept. I think it is nice to break things down very thoroughly sometimes. But oh my gosh, it is so refreshing to have something where you just don't have to do that. You just literally sit back, have a good time. It's not afraid to be funny, right? While being, as far as there's not, I wouldn't say anything offensive or whatever, but it's just like, it's also unapologetically funny, you know, like you could tell they were like just okay with going with it with their jokes. It's unapologetically sexy, which holy hell, I just don't get why. Like, bro, they will show every single man they can with his 6-pack out and doing everything, whatever. But you can't show just like a little bit of backside on a female lately. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make any sense. So the fact that this was able to be sexy both ways, you know what I mean? Like you got people noticing as far as how hot the Hitman is, you know, the main guy, like as it starts to continue on, he finds his swagger and everything. But then as far as like, yo, the girl in there's like a good looking girl, and it makes sense that they like take advantage of that and make the most of it. So anyway, I miss movies like this, and I hope that they make more, because this was just a good time. I laughed. It was emotional. And you know, it's a good time. That's the best way to put it. What do you guys think?
Also, Jace, she was in Andor too, the actress, I believe. Just so you know, and if you're curious about checking out Andor, I believe she was in that as well.
Well, you gotta make me rewatch Andor for nothing.
Just saying.
Well, but I'll put it this way: I'm clearly not alone, since this was collectively part of the top 5.
No, I'm with you. I'll just say it real quick. Everything that you said, this was such a pleasant surprise. Another recommendation from you guys, and I'll say this: when you guys were saying, "Oh, you have to watch Hitman," it felt so good to just be like okay, Hitman. I've heard nothing but good things about it. And in the chat, I've seen you guys were recommending it, and I'm like, okay, that's actually good to know. It's like there's a thing to watch that I'm like 99.9% sure I'll love. And then sure enough, I did love it. This movie was such a great surprise. What's the actor's name? Glenn Powell, I believe.
Yeah.
I have to credit this guy real quick, because he plays like freaking 4 or 5 different parts in this, and all of them are super interesting and great. And I wanted to see more of each person and each weird identity. I loved all of these little bits. Some of them are played more for laughs. Some of them are almost kind of creepy and weird, but he's doing this thing throughout the movie, which I think I feel like this is going, it's a little bit underrated. I know, like, I'm gushing over it right now, but man, this actor is killing it in this movie. He's doing a bunch of different things, and I love that whenever you get an actor sort of playing different roles within the same film, because it allows you to see their range just all in one. It's almost like he could turn this in for his next acting part and just be like, here's like 20 different things right here that I've done, but it's all from one movie. So yeah, I can't say enough. I know you guys have to I can't say enough good things about this. It was a really pleasant surprise. And like Jay said too, you could just sit, watch it, and enjoy it. It is what it is. It's a fun ride.
Sean, you were saying he co-wrote it?
He co-wrote it with Richard.
Oh, I don't know. Yes, that's awesome to know. Cool. Hey, well, one last quick question, and maybe you know it. It says in the beginning that it's loosely based on a true story.
It is, yeah.
Is this okay? I was curious about that. I have to look into it then. Okay, cool.
Very, very, very loosely.
Very loosely.
The third act
where it goes in the end didn't happen.
Okay, all right.
The guy is real, and what he did was real. Yeah.
Okay.
Because don't they show at the end, don't they show pictures of like the real dude and him in like all the costumes or some of the costumes?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it's something where that's so nuts to consider that is like a real thing, especially because like some of the ones he does, which I imagine were just in there for the sake of it being a movie, because some of the ones he dressed up as and acted as, where it's like, this is great for the sake of entertainment. There's no way in hell someone would believe this is like a real person being serious about this.
Yeah.
Those were the moments where it felt like a straight comedy, right? I think more so. Like,
I loved that this movie wasn't just a straight comedy, though, or it wasn't just a straight up romantic comedy or a crime thriller. Like, it felt like it was so many different things operating at once, and it was operating at a level that, like, just on so many different levels rather than just one. And I love what you said. It feels like something that we would have seen like in the 90s or something. It feels, but in a fresh way. And I don't know, this movie was just so much fun, and I had no idea where it was going too. That was the other thing that I was like, wow, like it just twist after twist, and I'm like, I'm actually buying this. Like I'm into this movie. So it's definitely not like the best movie of the year, but it's definitely a movie that I will watch many times over.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense of it instantly left me with a feeling of I would absolutely rewatch that.
Yeah.
And in this day and age of just purely digestible content, you know what I mean? In the sense of like to be specific, what I mean is like it filters through us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how many times do we watch something and however long later someone could be like, yeah, you've seen this, right? And you're like, oh shit, yeah, no, I have. It's like, remember this part? And it's like, kind of like, you know what I mean? It's there's a lot of that stuff that not only is it just so in one ear out the other, or however you would use, you know, the expression with watching stuff. It's also like, there's not many things that I would go back and rewatch that come out, right? You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff where it's like, hey, I am glad I took the time to see that. It's, you know, I don't feel like I wasted my time per se. It maybe wasn't the best use of time either, but it is what it is. But yeah, again, there's only so many things where it's like, oh my God, I can't wait to rewatch that. And I feel like that was such a common feeling I had in the past with a lot of stuff. So that was a nice refresh feeling as well, to actually like have it as soon as this was done, literally like the moment the credits start rolling, I was just like, that's the first thought in my head. I was just like, oh man, I would watch that again.
Yeah,
it's funny. It was literally that was the same thought in my head. Like, nice. I was like, that's one of those movies that I would just watch for fun because it's a fun, different movie, you know?
Yeah. Or watching it with somebody else who hasn't seen it, which is always the best. They haven't seen it yet.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Dan, what about you?
Oh, I agree with everything. Oh, sorry, I'm tired. No, I had so much fun with it. It's such a rewatchable movie. It's another one, like you guys said, I wanted to rewatch it right away. I haven't rewatched it yet, but I definitely want to rewatch it, especially now after we just were talking about it. I love Glenn Powell in it. I think they have really good chemistry, and it balances all these different genres so well.
Yes.
Yeah,
it really does. Glenn Powell is like the new like big star. I feel like after this, and now he's going to be in Twisters in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I remember seeing him in Top Gun Maverick and being like, this douche, because he played the part really well. You know what I mean? Like, but that was like, I think I have seen him in things before. I just didn't really notice or acknowledge. You know how it is, where it's all of a sudden once you start to see someone you like recognize them more, you're like, oh my god, wait a second, I think I've seen this guy in like other stuff. So I can't remember what I've seen him in prior to Top Gun Maverick, but that's like the first thing I remember. And yeah, man, ever since then, all of a sudden he's just like, it's on fire. And I gotta hand it to him. Like everything I've seen him in, I really like. And there is this whole thing where, you know, there's been a lot of speculations. There's always fan casting, if you will, for people to be certain roles within Hollywood, specifically superheroes, right? There's a lot of time where people will fan cast someone as a superhero. And there was a lot of people talking about how cool it would be for him to be Hal Jordan in James Gunn's DCU universe.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good casting.
Yeah. Now, granted, it's funny because right, Top Gun, where him being a pilot, and it's like how coincidental. But like, hey, it works. It works, and I buy it. Like, it seems like he's got the right attitude for it. He's got the acting chops. I would be down. That would be a super cool casting. But I could also actually picture him, just as a side note, like I can picture him as Barry Allen too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
Eric is asking us if we think he could be the Batman.
No.
I like Robert Pattinson too much, man. I'm sorry.
I don't know why, you know, to be fair, but like, no, I don't. I very much picture he would be more of if he was someone within like the Bat family, possibly like a matured Nightwing or something like that. Just because I think he would like kind of be more befitting of that type of persona, if you will. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't mean to like try and knock it like he couldn't do Batman, if you will, but I also like I don't see that as much.
He showed the range in Hitman that he could be a lot of different kinds of characters, though.
Oh yeah, no, I mean without a doubt. So I mean, shoot, I'd be open to it. Look, to be fair, man, I never thought Ben Affleck was going to be a good Batman prior to him being Batman.
Or Robert Pattinson, for that matter.
Sure, no, that's true.
Those kinds of doubts go back to the Michael Keaton days. So that seems to always be it's a tradition with Batman to be like,
it is.
There we go.
Yeah, him and then Batman-related characters too. Because I remember when Heath Ledger was first cast as Joker, everyone was like,
"Oh yeah,
that guy." The 10 things I love about you guy, whatever. And then right now we got the best live action Joker ever.
Yeah.
Well, definitely as far as love the positivity all around for this one. I hope as far as all of you out there that if you haven't seen it, I mean, obviously we would recommend any of the shows or movies that we're talking about within the stream. But this one, just seriously, it's on Netflix. Go check it out. Hopefully that makes it easy for a lot of the mass audience to go ahead and see. It is absolutely worth your time. I would be surprised if you regret spending your evening checking that out. So do yourself some favors. But with that, shallst we go to number 4?
4, yeah.
What you're about to see. You okay, Jack? Is profoundly disturbing and shocking. You get out there, Mr. Midnight. You knock him dead.
Ooh, man. So this one's fresh on the mind for me. I literally just watched this last night.
Oh wow.
Late night.
It's fresh.
Oh, that's great.
And so I got a chance to not just that, but convince my my girlfriend to watch it with me. Ooh, she is not exactly keen on. It's not like she's against scary movies, but especially ones that deal with like any sort of possession type stuff is like a big so right, she got a chance to check it out, and thought it was interesting as far as from her.
Okay.
I felt very much like
okay to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was something where, I mean, hey, she didn't dislike it per se. I thought it was like a super, super cool concept, right? I loved the whole of like time frame of when it took place, and how it was like this competition with the Johnny Carson show. Like, I really just liked that whole theme that it was going with, and the time like played into the way it was filmed and the aesthetics of how things looked and everything. And it does a good job of kind of like doing a good job of what I think good horror movies do, which is it gets you invested in enough stuff, but like to the point where you forget it's a horror movie, and then all of a sudden something weird happens, and you're like, "Oh shit, that's right, this is a horror movie." Like, because that's how it was. I feel like, right, it was just long enough, and then all of a sudden, right, and then something starts to get a little odd and off or whatever, and obviously continues to just get more so off of there from there. I love the concept of having the guy who was the what's the word they use for people who don't believe that stuff? They try to disprove it.
Skeptic.
Skeptic. Thank you. So I like the fact that they had the skeptic on there. That was definitely a cool touch, because you almost feel like, to a degree, it's like you as a viewer, are kind of questioning some things. So it's nice to like have someone in the movie questioning stuff. And just, when it got to the part where you're waiting for, if you will, it was something where I felt almost like they didn't give us quite enough of like when she was possessed, like that was cool, but I feel like that's what you're waiting for the whole time, and I didn't think there was enough of that specific part in itself, though I thought it was still really well executed. And then like the very ending is so goddamn trippy. I don't know what to take from it all, though. Like, I know we've been doing a pretty good job of maybe bouncing around spoilers for the majority of this, and to be fair, I feel bad. I'm not trying to ruin this for anyone, but for the love of everything, I want to talk about this with you guys. Like, what exactly went down there? Because I kind of get it, and I kind of don't.
We'll talk about it in the chat. I don't want to ruin it for anyone watching.
All right, fair enough. Well, at least, if anything, I'll at least kind of leave it off with like I said, a lot of different things that take a concept that we're familiar with, but put it on its head, like spin it on its head a little bit to make it, just different enough to where it's like, oh, this is a cool, fresh take on this. So I was glad to check it out. It's odd as it should be, though. Like I wanted it to be on. So I mean, I was happy with it. I had a good time with it.
Nice.
Yeah,
happy to hear that. What about you, Anthony?
Me, I enjoyed this movie quite a lot. So first off, everything that Jay says, I pretty much agree with. I will also say that as far as like them placing, I love how they plugged this into a sort of reality by having him be the competition with Johnny Carson, and we get into also some very weird backstories with cults and stuff, which was so they did a great job. Like as you're watching it, like where like you might actually start to think for a second, wait, did something like this happen? It feels very grounded. Of course, then it gets weird enough where you're like, okay, wait, no, this didn't happen. But still, you enjoy the ride. I think the guys at Red Letter Media, one of them mentioned that like I probably would have pushed the aesthetic even more, like give us that grimy videotape look, like dirty it up even more, because it did feel a little clean and very much like what it was. Like it's a movie made, now, and it's supposed to be from a different era. But overall, I still scored them like very high on that. I thought that I love that concept of making it, this period movie that takes place years back. I love that the setting of like old timey TV, and yes, it's even before my time. So I think that they did all of that like really super well. And the last thing I'll say about it was the movie does a great job building a nice slow tension. This movie did. I feel like it's cliche to say it had me on the edge. It really friggin' did. I kept feeling like, oh man, is something gross or gruesome coming here. It really did a good job giving that sense that something awful was going to happen, and we do get a lot of that. Like Jay said, I don't know that they pushed it as far as they could have, or maybe as I would have wanted to have seen as a horror fan. But they went there enough that I was satisfied overall. Once it got to the horror and the gore and stuff like that, I'll try not to spoil, because I think we have been doing a great job tap dancing around spoilers across the board here. So I won't spoil that here. But yeah, great movie, great, and perfect recommendation. I believe this one is also on Shudder for people curious about it. Sean, thank you. Okay, and I'll turn it over to you guys.
I mean, Shudder's killing it this year.
Yes.
And I feel like they continue to, and it's kind of interesting too because they're releasing their movies in theaters a month in advance. And this movie did like I think 10 million at the box office. So like it made its budget back at like by like 3 times or 4 times, and then it's like released on Shudder. So I think that's a really that is a release schedule. Sorry, this is kind of a tangent, but like a release schedule that I can believe in, because Netflix does this thing where they release their movies like a week in advance, but then you don't know, like it's not in any theaters that you can find. Like they're just like maybe one in New York or one in Los Angeles. Shudder's releasing them wide a month in advance. And I think that's such a cool release schedule because it's not taking away from the theatrical experience, but they're also bringing it to streaming as well. So that's just one thing that I wanted to mention when it comes to this movie. But I love this movie. I think it's super clever. It's different. It gives you that vibe of probably like the 70s, 60s, 70s. And it was very, like, Anthony, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, you're always waiting because you know something awful is going to happen the whole time. And then when it does, I know some people were disappointed, but I actually really loved the ending here. And I did think that it came together, though maybe they could have given us a little bit more backstory to that stuff.
Yes.
So that's all I'll say with that. But yeah, I just thought this was such a clever, unique little horror movie and another kind of hidden gem, small independent film that deserves to be seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dan, you were throwing something in too?
My screening was like packed. Well, so the early access screening was packed, and then I didn't go to that one because it was so packed. But I got a ticket for the next day. Yeah, and then that one was packed too. Anyway, so I was sitting next to people. Like it was so packed. Yeah, so it was a great time. A lot of production companies worked on it.
That's a good point. Yeah, the amount of different things that played the tiny.
Did you see the Family Guy clip that the Family Guy clip they share with it? And Maggie, I love that. That doesn't really have anything to do with anything, but I love the aesthetic of the movie. I just thought I was watching something so different. I felt like the same way with X. And even Pearl. Not Maxine. Sorry. I mean Maxine was fine. It was good. But I didn't feel his aesthetic as much. But with this, I definitely felt the aesthetic. And then, like I said, with X and Pearl, I just felt like I was watching something different. So I really enjoyed it.
Nice. Very nice. Well, I think with this, right, we got a horror movie to throw into the mix, which I think is really cool to have within the top 5 of the year. But I know it is the only horror one that makes this this ranking for the time being. But let's go ahead and see what else we got up on this list with number 3.
I love you.
I know.
You wish you never ever met her at all.
Okay. First of all, like when she did that, I was like, "Are you really gonna pull a Han Solo right here?" Right? Dude,
we also got a Spider-Verse.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know the I know line, and then we got a Spider-Verse nod as well. Did you catch that? The kid's like, I want to watch Spider-Verse.
Yeah, the kid wants to watch Spider-Verse in it.
Yeah. I know, and I just imagine it's funny because when that line specifically was put in, that's when my brain was like, "Bro, I know Tom Holland's watched this."
Yeah,
and I'd love to know what he was thinking the whole time, because it's one of two things. I feel like he either was just like, I don't feel comfortable. This is weird. I don't know how to feel. Or he was just sitting back like, bro, look at my girl go. Look, that is my girl right there. Would you check out how sexy? Like I feel like he's probably the
That is definitely what he's doing for sure when he's watching this movie.
Not just that, he's probably also like, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm gonna just go a little rambunctious with this, but I feel like he's probably just like smashing Zendaya as he's watching it. You know, it's like, damn, girl, you killed it in this scene.
I love that these are the things going through your head when you're watching these films, Jace. Like, Jesus Christ.
Hey, look, they're the ones that are, trying to make the movie all sexy and whatnot and everything. And so I blame them. It's their fault. With that, what do you guys think? Right? Because with this,
I think me and Dan should start with this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, right? You go ahead and just kick us off here with some stuff.
Wait, I cut out a little bit. Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? No, yeah, Dan, because I know realistic, I think out of all of us, it would probably be fair to say, I think, Dan, you have it rated the highest out of us collectively as a group.
Yes.
Yeah, so go ahead, dive into it, and as far as why it's got not just a deserving spot at the top 5, but why it's so highly ranked for yourself.
Yeah, John and Sean loved it too, but not as much as me. I just recently gave it a 5 out of 5, my third watch. So I watched it a third time the other day. I just love the I don't know, the feel of it. It's just all sexy to me. I don't know. It's not even the sexy parts, like the nudity and the kissing and all that. I care about it. I liked it. But it's everything else. It's the slow motion sweaty shots. It's that they're sweaty, they're shirtless, their thighs, they're kissing, they're talking in saunas, they're eating churros and stuff that's shaped like it. And
where I did not oh my God.
And blonde hair. And
we're like a bunch of schoolboys talking about this movie, I swear.
Wait, what, Sean?
We're like a bunch of schoolboys talking about this movie.
Did you guys know that there's some tennis in this movie?
Yeah, this movie invented tennis too. So,
sports.
Yeah, it invented tennis for me. I didn't, I don't know. It was, and I love the editing. I love the shots and the different creative choices. There's parts when it looks like the camera's under the court, and the ball's bouncing on top of it. There's shots when it looks like the ball. It looks like the camera's being thrown around as the ball. I just loved all of that. I thought the score was really good. I do understand that the score gets loud at some parts, like random.
I love it.
I love it too. I didn't love it as much the first time. I still liked it. I think it just encapsulates tennis. Tennis is a crazy game. So the editing is crazy. The score is crazy. The score shows the tension between the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I loved it. The acting's all good. The acting's all good too, and the chemistry.
100%. Dan, I'm so with you on this. This is a movie that I warm to more and more. I actually, when I went to go see it, I did not love the first 30 or 40 minutes. I thought it was kind of dragging a little bit. And I'm like, where is this movie going exactly? And then, and I know, and we're going to have talks about this, and we're not going to go in spoilers, but I think the end is one of the best endings of any movie I've seen in so long. I literally, it smacked me on my ass. There was only 3 other people in the movie theater, and we were all like, what? We went crazy. Me, I was by myself, and then there was these other people in the theater, and we went crazy. I love the ending of this movie. I think that the music makes the movie, and the editing and going back and forth through time. I think it progresses the movie in a way that feels chaotic and messy, just like their relationship, just like the sport. It all kind of mirrors itself. And I don't know, this movie is so cool. It's so different. But on the outset, it's just this story about this love triangle at the end of the day, but it's done in a way that's so interesting and intriguing to me.
Yes. I forgot to mention the structure. I love the structure as well. It could be too much in some movies, but I just think it added to the tension each time that it went forth.
It's giving you all the breadcrumbs you need to be like, oh, interesting. Oh, now I'm getting to see why this happened and why this is that way. I don't know. It was cool.
Yeah, our audience is probably like, wow, Dan barely said a word before this, and now Challengers. And he said
Dan woke up.
That's right. All we have to do is just be like, hey, something kind of gay? Well, now you mention. No, but I am right. Doesn't matter how it comes up. I'm super happy that it got that type of response out of you. You know what I mean? Like it's nice. Look, just how we've had as far as when there was the discussion when Barbie was coming around, and regardless of what different thoughts, one thing I was super legitimately happy about was that like I appreciate how much you like it to the point, right, and how much it got you to talk about stuff, because that's how I feel when I really like stuff, man. Like I just dork out. Like I can't help it. I get it very much. Just there's a reason why I think that, you know, it's sometimes more appropriate to use the word fanatic instead of just a fan, even though it's just a derivative of that word. Because there's times where I feel like more a fanatic about something. So I can appreciate a lot when I see that from other people. So I love that, again, it provokes such a response from you, and that you've got to rate it so highly. It's always nice when stuff like that comes out. Anthony.
So overall, I will say I did like this. I feel like this is a movie we could probably do a stream on, like just this film alone. This like when I look at our list, there's a couple on here that I would say that, but this one I would definitely say that for better or worse, whether you're loving it or I wouldn't say Jace hates it, but like all right. So let me just start at the beginning real quick. It's funny, Sean, you said that it started off slow for you, but then you got into it. It was sort of the opposite for me. I actually liked the beginning a lot more, and I got into the structure of how they dump us into this tennis match. We don't know as the viewer who the players are or what the dynamics are. Then we rewind, and now when we go back to the present, which we dip into throughout the whole movie, it means so much more. And you're like, oh my god, wow, this isn't just two guys. Like now we instantly learn about their relationship and their friendship, and we get into it more, so that when we jump back to the present, it just takes on a whole new meaning, and it adds this whole other layer of context. I like that. I did feel that the jumping back and forth structure wore thin a little bit on me as the movie wore on. That's just what it was, but obviously that's not the effect for everybody. But I feel like it did a little bit, to the point almost that it lost me a little bit, like a few times where I was like, I kind of want you to just stay in one timeline. I like this. Oh wait, no, we're jumping backward. Oh wait, no, we're jumping forward again. So that would be like my only slight criticism of the movie. I would still recommend it alone on just the performances. Like the three leads in this are they just knock it out of the park. Just absolutely killer performances from all three of them. Lots of emotion. I know, Jace, you said you didn't like the music too much. I actually dug the music too. It almost reminded me. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen Drive with Ryan Gosling.
Yes.
Now that the score in that was amazing, in the soundtrack. But I felt that sort of thumping, energetic beat here. It worked for me overall. Maybe it's because I do happen to like that type of music too. So it worked. I think it worked in the context of this. But I could also see maybe not liking or feeling like it's overpowering the scenes or ruining the scenes.
Yeah.
I think if you just don't dig this kind of music, then it's like it just takes the movie down. If you happen, I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't even not so much digging that type of. I'm fine with that type of music.
You're okay. You just thought did you think it was overpowering or too much with the slow-mo or overly dramatic? Just curious.
It was a mix of the fact of like, and I didn't feel about this the whole entire time, right? So there's actually, I could probably count on one hand and not fill up that whole hand how many scenes I think I noticed this, but there was like this one specific theme, like this techno music type of theme, right? That they had, and like they would default to that in certain moments. But the problem is, like, again, the music itself, I don't feel like is a bad choice. It's their placement of it. Like there is a moment, one that stands out to me the most, if I'm recalling the sauna, is the sauna. That's like the first one that stands out. And like it is what it is. But personally speaking, I felt like they were driving up the tension really well in that scene. And it gets this like, it's serious. They're having a serious discussion. They haven't talked in a while. They like, they're hashing out some stuff or whatever. They're kind of getting into it. And then all of a sudden just, and I was just like, what, why are we doing this right now? You know what I mean? Like, and then the few other times, which was only a few other times, but the few times that it happened, it's just like so jarring. Like I feel like it's, for myself, it did the opposite of what I think that they intended, which was to like, dig you into the moment more. It took me out of it. I was like, all right, dude, let me focus on what's going on here, because you're taking me away from stuff.
At least that means
you don't want to dance and wave around some glow sticks or something?
Yeah. No, I was invested. So this is the thing, because to give context as far as to everybody else here, there was some pre-discussion on this one. I made it pretty darn clear that I didn't exactly favor this one as much as the rest of the group. Now, I don't feel, though, I want to be crystal clear. I don't not favor it so much to the point where it's like, how could this be in our top 5? Right. I think that there's some others that are like pretty close in line to maybe like be in competition with it. But I also think that it's got a lot of things that are enough positives to stand on. Like, I still think the whole concept of the story, the whole premise of the story, I like, right? The back and forth as far as like their relationship as a trio, I think is cool. I actually feel, I'm not going to lie, I wish that it almost was crazier. I was expecting it to be something where like Zendaya was like training both of them and fucking both of them at the same time. You know what I mean? And that it was almost like this, like simultaneous, like, and I also thought there was going to be more of a relationship with the guys, actually.
Yeah.
They have, and it not like I needed it. That's how it was portrayed. It was portrayed like it was this crazy, like sex, like, you know, oh man, it's just this like fucking 3-way orgy the whole entire time. And then then tennis is involved. And I didn't really get that. I actually feel like it's one of those where maybe because it was hyped up so much, I didn't feel like it was like sexy the whole way through. It was just kind of like, yeah, you know, I get it. There's, you know, people here and they're wearing short shorts and whatnot and cool. Like but anyway, with that being said, again, there are still some things like the acting, how we've all said, the actual chemistry between the lead three. There's no denying that was like really solid. The two guys I thought were very believable performances. I like their performances more than Zendaya's. You know, the one thing I will say,
I disagree.
That's just me. As far as this is my biggest thing with Zendaya. I think she's like extremely enjoyable. Like I totally am down for when she's in stuff. So when I say this, I say it lightly. But I feel like she kind of comes up, and God, I feel this just immediately seems like it's such a judgmental thing. I feel like she kind of comes off somewhat like a one-note actress to some degree, just because like there is, I don't feel like there's times where I feel like I'm watching someone different. It's just Zendaya. Like, I just feel like I'm watching Zendaya. Like, even when, I don't know, like there's certain performances that I could compare and contrast. And it's like, depending on the scene, I don't really feel like there's anything that's like character driven about this. It's just she thankfully is a good actress and still makes it believable. And I mean, look, there's people that could do that. You know, there's people that are like really good actors and actresses. They're just good at kind of like being slightly different versions of themselves. And I just, that's what I pick up a little bit. And so anyway, with that being said, I just felt like there was this like raw, believable factor that came along with the guys. Like I believed that they were real dudes and that they weren't even actors and that they actually were just like tennis players that were like thrown into the movie set.
I do agree with you on the guy. I mean, all the acting is great, but the guys definitely did. There was this sense of authenticity that you wouldn't get maybe from hiring other actors or whatever. Like their camaraderie, and you believed the fact that they loved each other, but at the same time they could be mortal enemies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly, right. So that's nice to be able to pick that up where it just doesn't feel fabricated. You know, it's like it's hard to almost separate the fiction from reality at that point. I definitely appreciated that. Now, with all that being said, you know, I won't go too deep into the rabbit hole of this. I feel like ending wise, I will respect everything that's mentioned. I look at it as like almost the polar opposite. This is one of my least favorite endings that I've seen in a very long time. I think, I know, I'm sorry. It's just one of those where I think there's so much that they introduce that it's almost, dare I say, like unfair as an audience member to feel like, why are you even going to throw so much at us on the plate if you're going to just leave it on the plate and just not even do anything about it? Like, I just feel like there's too many things, and it's so abrupt. Like it's so abrupt that you feel like, okay, cool, that solid singular moment. Okay, like if we were to just isolate that one moment that they actually, boom, go to black on. Okay, it's like a sweet moment. Like it's like, hey, for a brief instant, something like positive seemed to come of the shitstorm that is their lives right now, and that's cool. But like, I don't need to see the rest of their lives from that point. I just think it would be more than fair and ideal from my perspective to see how some of these things panned out, because they introduce like some pretty heavy stuff that is like, okay, they're not going to live happily ever after this. Right? So like, no. And so that's the whole, I would have liked to at least some degree, Like just something. I don't know to what extent. I don't know where I would have wanted them to stop or whatever, but where they did stop was just like so it's like they're just like, we're just gonna tickle your nuts. And as soon as you think we're gonna just transition to something else, we're just gonna stop and walk away. And that's why you thought we were gonna do anything about it.
No.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I just totally disagree. The ending for me works in so many ways, especially because there are God, I feel like we're on a Challengers stream right now, so we need to finish
So
this.
that's what I was saying. I mean, I do feel like, love it or hate it, this is a full stream. Yeah, we can
Here's the thing.
we could chop this up and throw it on our channel. We need the freaking content.
I'd be
That's
super
true.
interested for what it's worth because, like, Dan, I know as far as we had like some back and forth, but I was still like, and I hope I made this clear, I was still curious. Like, I wanted to hear, just like when I mentioned, I like that you like it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious. Like, I don't think you're about to, and same thing with Sean. Like, I don't believe you're about to change my mind, but I'm super open as far as like, what is it though that as far as like made it work so well? Because again, like at the end, I just feel like it's just so much is left unresolved. So much is still on the table, and it's I don't know.
And because I know we do want to wrap it up. I will say I do kind of agree with Jason at this point because we invest and spend so much time in these characters. They're very human. We spend so much time with them. It's just so I feel like we're spoiling it a little bit to not give us a more definitive resolution, to not show us where they're going. I do feel like it's a little unfair. I feel like you're yanking the rug out from under us as viewers. I almost feel like that's almost a compliment to the movie. You made me give a crap enough about these people that I want to see sort of where it leads off. Instead, you're kind of leaving it up in the air, almost literally, for me to. I think they're. Yeah, I mean, I found myself coming on a stream afterward to be like, "Hey, what was your interpretation of the ending?" Because I wasn't quite sure what it meant. At the same time, I don't think it didn't make me like just discard the movie or hate it or anything. Like I can still enjoy it for what it was. There's lots of things that they're not my favorite ending, but I still will highly recommend the movie. And this is one of them. So this is another one. It's just so that's my take on it, and I'll be quiet.
I'd still recommend it too, just to be clear. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Okay. There we go. So
For me, really quickly, just with the ending,
please.
It really, like, the entire movie is all foreshadowing. It is leaving breadcrumbs the entire film, little breadcrumbs, and all of those things pop up in those final like 10-15 minutes if you're really watching closely. And to me, it felt like I knew exactly what would happen after that movie went to black. Like, I already had made up my mind. The moment it went to black, I was like, I know exactly where these characters are going to go from there, from everything I saw beforehand.
Right,
but I love that they didn't have to show me that because of everything they gave before.
So then we don't want to spoil it for people, and we have like another 10 movies to get to.
Yeah.
So
no, well, at least
no, but after in the after show, if you could just let me know your interpretation, that would be good because I am curious to know where you guys think it does go.
I think, well, and here's actually, this is a perfect way to, I'll try to make this the very last, because this is the last thing I'd want to say. It's like, because Dan, you were saying the same stuff in the chat. You had theories. And I actually, for what it's worth, every theory that you threw out there, I was like, I could see that making sense. I could see that happening. I could see that happening. That I could see where maybe this would take place. And I know you had a couple of like somewhat different ones, but the point was they all sounded believable. I think that's is like, I just don't want to have to be like, I think I know what happened. I just want like, just give me something. Because like Anthony said, like, it's one of those, it is very much a compliment to them of like, you made me invested. You made me care. Like, and you know, it's just one of those where, can it be fun to speculate? Oh my God. You're talking to someone who's like an enormous superhero and Star Wars dork. Dude, all I do is speculate about shit, right? Like, I get it. But I think that's where it is. It's like, there are things that I think are appropriately fitting of like how fun it is to theorize of what this could be, what this could mean, where it could go. This just, to me, didn't feel like one of those things. This doesn't feel like the type of thing that I want to walk away and just be like, oh, I wonder what happened. It's like, I kind of want to know to some degree what happened. You could leave some things up in the air. I'm okay with some things being a mystery. Like I said, not everything needs a direct answer. But more than what was given is all I would add. You know what I mean? I don't know how much more, right? That's the point. Is I don't know where I would put the stopping finish line, but it would have been nice. That's all. And again, it's because I liked the story, you know. But nonetheless, it doesn't change the fact of like, yeah, I'm super interested as far as also for you maybe to, I guess, go even in what you think actually took place after. I'd still be super curious to hear. But let's get these last 2 movies down.
Let's do it. Not 10.
Number 2.
No. We'll shorten it then. Fine.
That was perfect.
Number 2.
Let the professional handle this.
I'm too gross to go anywhere ever again! Well, that's a preview of the next 10 years.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We lost Sean in the midst of that. All right. With this one, Dan, let me toss it to you first. I've been like kicking every one of these off, so I want to go ahead and just let you kind of pick this apart as you see fit.
This almost gets a 5 out of 5 for me. I loved it. I honestly think I like it more than the first one. I love the first one. I think I like this one more. I just think this one's more fun and it's funnier. And I loved the introduction of the new emotions and how real that felt. Anxiety just felt, especially, a portrayal of, a scene at the end. Anxiety is doing something that just feels so real. And of course you have embarrassment and ennui and envy and all that. Those are real emotions that come with puberty and, going to a new school, going to a new hockey camp in this case. But she's transitioning to school eventually. And she has worries, that this hockey camp is going to foreshadow something in the future. What's it going to do to her rest of her, life. So I just thought it was really good. And there's some sad lines. I mean, Jace, there's some lines in here that really hit you in the feels. I know a lot of people say it's not as emotional as the first one. I think in different ways it is, but I know we don't have the Bing Bong take her to the moon for me thing, which I'm probably going to get hate for this. I think that's an overrated Pixar moment. It was good. It was sad, sure. But I don't know. I love this one line that Joy has in here. I love these characters that they meet at the vault that are different animation styles. Mm-hmm. I thought that was so cool. I just love the way the story went and all the emotions working together perfectly, and the voice cast is good as always.
Yeah, that was another thing that we mentioned. For the few things that we get into, we try to, if you can't tell everybody, for those of us that watch our streams when they do happen, I know this year's been scarce, but the point is when we get into this, there's a lot of times we make it pretty clear that we try to keep the conversation relatively slim as far as our like in-depth thoughts within the group chat that we have, because we think it's more fun to like get into it for the first time within the stream. Nonetheless, though, one of the things that we did mention within the chat that we got into like right away was how on point the voice casting is for the entirety of the movie. Like every one of the emotions is so well cast. I can't help but chuckle at damn near everything Lewis Black says as anger. Like it's just, that is such a good casting for it.
Perfect casting. Yeah, like everyone.
Amy Poehler. Yeah, as Joy is just so fitting, and it all works. It all really, really works well. Before I say anything more, though, Anthony, you got also a chance to just recently see this, didn't you?
No, that's the thing. So yeah, we could.
Oh no, there was a.
In the interest of time, it works out because I actually still have to see this one, unfortunately. But I am hyped to see it. I want to see it. I've heard nothing but good things about it. You guys obviously enjoyed it, and I like the first one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And when Dan's like, "Oh, it's better than the first," I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome to hear," because I dug the first one so much. Matter of fact, I'd say the first one was like better than I thought it would be. Yeah. I feel like Inside Out was always one of these Pixar movies where I was like, I don't know, maybe. And I kind of put off watching it for a lot of years. And then I was like, oh boy, I slept on this one. Inside Out.
Yeah. I think they're on par with each other. Like when I first saw this one, I was like, they're on par with each other.
Okay.
And then I'm like, oh no, I think I like this one a little bit better. And it's not even that hard of a take to say that. A lot of people are actually loving this one. Mm-hmm. It's either on par or even better than the original.
Yeah.
It's definitely a tough call. Like personally speaking, and I feel like it's interesting because I also put off watching the original for way too long for no good reason. It wasn't even until a few days before I saw the second one is when I first saw the first one.
Wow. Hey, how does it play back to back? Does it work really well? Like in that case?
Oh yeah.
Like,
It does phenomenally well. Actually, it's one of those where I always give them a lot of credit because there's a lot of movies that fit in this category, like Toy Story, I think, is another good example of like, there's such a big gap in between the second and the third, and then the third and the fourth. And yet, when you watch them, it doesn't feel like that. Like everything feels right back to what you expected or what you remember and everything. And I gotta hand it to them. That's exactly how I felt with this. So it's unique because I don't have the same feeling as many other people where you actually had this decade-long gap that you had to wait for it. It's just more so, okay, cool. It's a couple days. I'm gonna go check out the new one. And it was nice to have it work out that way. I can only imagine, it would have been really kind of a bummer to have to wait that long for the sequel. And honestly, I feel like they have easily potential if they wanted to go ahead and do a third one about this. Like,
yeah, I think like Toy Story and this are like the perfect Pixar ones to have sequels.
Yeah. No, it's like the easiest to do because, of course, it gets to the point where either you're introducing like an overwhelming amount of stuff or it kind of just starts to get played out because you're doing the same things or whatever. But this was at least very much fresh enough. I thought it's so relatable, in my opinion. I think that's the one thing that really works in this favor. It's so damn relatable. Like, even if you're someone that, let's say, doesn't have high levels of anxiety, you still undoubtedly know what anxiety feels like. And it's they make it like, I think it's hilarious and very admirable how they can make these, like silly like situations play out for movies, but that you could be like, I see the underlying meaning there though. Like I get what's going on. Like when you see emotions try to do certain things to help Riley as she's going on, like it's one of those where again they display it in a way that's like goofy for the movie. Oh man, the emotions are getting into this nonsense trouble. But then the way it affects Riley on the outside, it's like, oh man, like it makes you think about when you've been like through moments like that. And I can't help but just relate to so much of the stuff that's going on, even if it's not something that's recently happened, or even if it's not something I've been through specifically. It's just, again, so relatable.
I'm not gonna lie, I picture like I actually have a console and
no, I know, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good teaching, like even not me, but like if you have kids, it's a good teaching tool. Like you have a console inside of you. Oh, this is sadness. It's good to like talk about your feelings, Yeah.
No, right. It actually, yeah, because I know that this is much more the first one that about the whole like embracing sadness, but still, it's the same concept. It's the same thing where it's like, look, they actually do a good job in this one of showcasing it. Like, hey, look, it's not unhealthy to have anxiety.
Yeah.
It is unhealthy to let anxiety take over and lead the charge, right? And it's and it's something but it's a very healthy way to, I mean, honestly, like as kids, it's great, but then even as adults, man, it's like, right? It's like
we can relate to it at some level. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like this is
okay now or in the past. Yeah.
Like have feelings. It's
like,
all right. Like there's a good chance if you don't do this, you're going to crash, crash and burn.
Just love how it's like not just anxiety, but embracing like all the feelings embrace. And it's, you need all of your feelings. You need all of you, the different beliefs that you have. Sometimes it's true that you're a good person. Sometimes you're a bad person. Sometimes you're nice. Sometimes you're mean. And
yeah, no, exactly. Right. So how like at first Joy was picking out some of the memories or whatever to not have. And then it's like, yeah, it's good. It's like, no, that all makes up you. That's all collectively you as a person. Even if you don't want those certain things to be in there, but if they weren't, you wouldn't be the person that you are. And actually, I like how it fits with puberty, if you will, that, you almost have this innocent, naive way of looking at things like, no, it's okay. I'm a good person. And then all of a sudden puberty happens and you start having these crashing wave of emotions where you start internally questioning so much. And you're just like, is the world even how I think it is? And am I as good of a person as I thought? So it like made sense that it was during that time that this whole crazy set of events happens to make Riley start thinking that, right? It's like, again, it's right. It's a silly thing for a movie, and yet it's so damn relatable.
Yeah. And
yet it's hilarious, man, because as soon as you mentioned about thinking of having our own console, literally as far as when we were done watching it, Steve and I were talking as far as about like, okay, she was like, oh, I'm this right now. Like I could tell, like something was happening. She's like, I'm this or whatever, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm totally Joy at the moment because I'm happy. But it was funny because we were like narrowing down, like I think this one's in control. I think this one's leading the charge. Yeah, it's great things to have to. It's so nuts when you can have something that can speak volume so well to different age groups, right? And hit on all cylinders like that.
Yes.
Well, I would ask Sean to tell us how much he doesn't like it, because I believe he is not a fan of the Inside Out movies.
Oh, wow. He hasn't seen the second one.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough.
Oh, wait. Made it.
Is that all we need to do? Is just talk about you for a second to get you back?
Exactly. No, yeah, I haven't seen the second one yet. I am excited to see it. The first one is probably my least favorite Pixar movie. And I know that's so... I haven't seen Cars 2.
Have you seen The Good Dinosaur?
I haven't seen Cars 2.
The Good Dinosaur?
I haven't seen The Good Dinosaur or Brave. Those are the three that I haven't seen.
So they won't be it won't be your least favorite after that.
Yeah. But out of all of that, I just feel, and I've watched it 3 times now, and every time I'm always disappointed. And I know this sounds weird, but like it is because of Bing Bong. I cannot stand Bing Bong.
Did you hear what I said? I think the Bing Bong. Did you hear what I said? I think the Bing Bong thing is overrated. That everyone loves Bing Bong and loves his last line. I didn't.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. I don't know why. I get the imaginary friend thing, and now that's like super overplayed this year, the imaginary friend thing. But I don't know. I don't know. The first one didn't work for me, obviously. But I'm excited for this one because I think it might have more things to say. Riley's a little bit older, so I am excited to see it.
And some people that don't like the first one are liking this one. So
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It always.
And the reason it's at number 2, by the way, is because Dan and John loved it so much, and obviously Jace as well.
No, that was actually before I even checked it out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But still, I'm glad that I ended in the way that I did.
Yeah.
Well, with that, there's only one left to talk about here, right? So we've got a lot of this discussion. We've got 4 solid ones for you, hopefully so far from the year. But I think there is something fair to say that.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
That's right, and it's all because of Sydney Sweeney. No, at least so we got right our number 1 of the year. I think it's fair. It's fair for it to be this. Yeah, I doubt it would be a surprise to many. There's a lot of you that could probably, right, if you're in the chat, you might be guessing it already. As far as there's a movie that's come out that's like kind of a big deal that we haven't talked about so far. Well, here we go.
Number 1.
Nothing fancy.
Bruh. This is coming from someone that did not like the first Dune the first time around. The first time that I saw it, I should say.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll immediately say, and I'll lead up to that. I like it so much more now. It's not even funny. But I'll never forget my first time watching Dune in theaters, and just like I couldn't sit still in my seat after a certain point in time. Right, I was trying to pay attention, and finally I was just like, "When is this shit over with, man?" It just felt unbearable. Before the second one came out, I decided I'm going to go back, give that first one a shot with a fair open mind. And I remember trying to tell myself, you need to understand that this is not an entire complete movie, right? What I'm about to watch is not a movie. It is the first half of a movie. So what I actually think made it even easier, and what I would recommend to people, is I more so kind of broke it down as if, without trying to sound silly, but I almost like tricked my brain, so to speak, into like, this is the first 3 episodes of a 6-episode HBO Max series. That's like kind of I would think the best way to look at it. And when you do, and just again, because it doesn't have the flow of a movie. we're used to like a movie having a certain structure. First act, second act, third act, and there's a climax at one point, a resolution, all that type of stuff, right? That's not what you're going to get, honestly, out of either of these movies. The second one a little bit more so, but that's not really the structure of the story, and that's okay. I like that, but you have to like do yourself a favor and kind of understand and accept that beforehand in order to enjoy it more. Because again, when I did that, I enjoyed the hell out of the first one. I was sucked into it. I couldn't pull myself away from the screen. And then when I got to see the second one, holy crap, was that like, that wasn't just a movie. I felt like that was an experience, man. I was like, that really left me with some feelings afterwards. And to the point, like so many thoughts of different stuff. It goes right back to the conversation we were having earlier about like twisting words and messages and how like it makes you think about religion in really crazy ways and how that can kind of lead to some nuts stuff when people just blindly follow things. It's like nuts of how good of a job it does of mirroring real world stuff while still being such a crazy sci-fi driven story. Timothy Chalamet, just, I remember thinking like, he's just like this little twig. Like, I don't think he's got the capabilities to lead all this. And oh my God, he does such a good job of proving me wrong in this movie. He's such an animal. I love it. The scene where he gives the speech to all the Fremen people about like, without him kind of like, just owning up and accepting to like what he knows he has to do and what he has to be, is one of the most badass moments in cinema I've experienced in a long time. It's just got so much working for it, man. I will leave it there. I want to say something else, but I purposely want to hear everybody else's thoughts before I chime in with another detail. Sean.
Yes. I was right there with you, Jace, obviously. I was not a fan of the first movie. I thought it was meandering. I thought it was very boring. I usually feel like I'm like good at like keeping track of what's going on in a movie. I honestly like didn't know what was happening in the first movie, really. Like there was so many plot threads being built up and I'm like, why is this important? So the first one didn't work for me. And then I watched this one just the other day for the first time. I really, really liked it. I thought it was so much more than what the first movie was. It really does add to the first film. And there are just sequences in this movie I'll probably never forget. I think the one that you were mentioning, Jace, is definitely one of them. Austin Butler in this movie is incredible. I wish we got more of him in the movie. I don't know how to explain it. I just don't know if I love this, like spending time in this world. And I think that's what I've kind of come to terms with is I just don't love like the desert atmosphere and like, you know, like when you like the Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, like there's just like this, I don't know, like this wonderment that comes with it, I guess. And then with Dune, it's like, oh, they're in the desert the whole time. Like, I don't know. Like, so I don't really want to spend time in that world. But I love what's going on now in the storyline. I think Timothée Chalamet, or Timothy, whatever his name is he totally sold me in this movie. So I love the storyline. I love where it goes. I just don't love spending time in that world, Arrakis.
Okay. I see what you're saying, Sean, about the desert thing, but you're talking to two Star Wars nerds here. You could just we can live in a freaking desert and we'll be fine. I'll be real quick with it because you guys have already generally said most of what I feel my feeling on it. I loved that it was such a big, grand, epic scale movie. I loved sort of following the characters. Yes, I wasn't always completely able to follow everything going on. I do feel like this is another movie on my list of movies that I think I need to watch maybe a couple times to process it all and just take it all in. It just is what it is. I did like this one better than the first. I like both of them. But I'm a fan of like, you know, sort of slow-paced sci-fi movies. Blade Runner, I like both Blade Runner movies, and this I would put, you know, in that sort of category. Just very, very large, grand, epic scale films that just have heavy concepts. And it can be a lot to take in the process, and it can be dull for some people. Fair enough. But I think there's enough action here to, at the very least, I think there's enough action and set pieces to maybe if you're zoning out, like, okay, well, now we got the big giant sandworm thing, you know, popping out, like that should at least pull you back into the movie for a second. But yeah, I obviously it's our number one pick, so I definitely recommend this. It's I don't know if I would have been able to get through this in the theater. I feel like it was a better watch for me at home. My bladder would have exploded, but it simply is what it is. So that's my thoughts on it. Great movie all the way through, killer performances again, and yeah, I'm a fan of it, and I'm looking forward to the next entry.
Dan.
Yes. So I love the first one. This is so surprising to me because I have a hot take, and I always say that as if I'm scared to mention it, but I actually love talking about it. I'm not huge on the Lord of the Rings. I think they're boring. They look.
You need to watch the extended editions. Then that's what you need to watch.
I did watch the extended editions. I'm still watching them from 2 years ago. Oh
God, those movies are awesome. How dare you? No,
I don't know why. I just. So I guess I find that boring. Like you guys, some of you guys find Dune boring. But I loved Dune. I loved the lore. I love the visuals. I love Timothée Chalamet. I love the whole cast. And it took me. I didn't understand exactly what was going on in the first one at the first time I saw it, but I understood more as I watched more. Because I saw it. I saw it once in theaters, and then since it was day in and day out on Max that year, I watched it on Max, and then I watched it in theaters again in 40X this year, and then watched Dune Part 2 in 40X and 2 more times in theaters. Dune Part 2. I usually feel length easily. Like there's an hour and a half movies that I feel the length for. Dune Part 2, I looked and there was 40 minutes left, and I was like, "Oh damn, there's only 40 minutes left." I was sad. And like it went by so fast to me, and I just love the lore. I love this one even more, and I already loved the first one. And yeah, Timothée Chalamet. This is probably my favorite performance by him. It's just I don't know what it is because, like I said, some sci-fi epics, some fantasy epics. I'm just not big on, but I love this.
Yeah, this is definitely one that they've done a really good job of capturing like a certain essence to something that just feels like, you know, different enough, right? It's got like similarities to things we're familiar with, like other sci-fi, you know, stuff that we know. Like there's, you know, someone could be like, oh, this is like Star Wars like, or this is like this or whatever. But it's also got enough things that just make it separate and different. But the one thing I wanted to throw out there to at least, I don't know if it's fair to say finish with, but I wanted to hold off from my initial statements was, yeah, it is blasphemy. You're right about that. It's hard for me to make this comment. It's going to be very cryptic because I don't want to say much because we haven't really been like spoiling the movies, let alone like things that movies are based off of, in this case, some books. The only thing that I'll mention is, man, I am super happy that they greenlit the third one. Yeah. And I'm also equally as worried, as funny as that sounds. And the only reason I say that is because if you don't already know the story of Dune, like if you don't already know where the story goes after what they've shown within the movies, I would highly suggest and recommend that you take the time to explore that a little bit, whether, you know, hey, look, if you want to go read the books, you know what I mean? You know, if you want to just search up some stuff on Wikipedia or online or whatever the case is, or there's plenty of good YouTube channels that like break it down really, really nicely as far as stuff that's happened. But what I'll at least mention is the direction that it goes from here. And again, I don't want to, but it ain't happy, guys. Like it's like it's not, this ain't some like triumphant, victorious, heroic story for Paul. And I feel bad because I actually think what happened with the book is literally, it's deja vu with the movie. And this is what I mean. Frank Herbert, who wrote the book, he was very disappointed when he wrote the first Dune book and the reception that it had, not because people didn't like it. People liked it a lot. What he was upset by was everybody looked at Paul as this hero. They were like, dude, Paul's the shit. Like, that's our guy, man. Yeah, Paul Atreides. And he's like, no, you don't seem to understand. This is supposed to be a cautionary tale. It's supposed to be a story to teach you that just because there is a very charismatic person that has what seemingly are all the right qualities to be the leader, that perhaps you should dig below the surface before you just blindly follow somebody and blindly follow the message it is that they want you to potentially risk your life for. And so that's why he came out with Dune Messiah, which is the next book, which is actually what the third movie is going to be based off of. That does, right? It's that book and that story that showcases as far as the aftermath of what happens. And yeah, it's like, I don't know how that they're going to do that in this movie.
I know, but that, like, you just saying that to me, like, it intrigues me so much more than either of these films have intrigued me. Like, I will go see that next one in theaters because I do want to see that. I like that it doesn't go that route that we all expect and that we hope, and we're all looking for the protagonist and the hero. You know, I love that it goes in a different direction. I mean, much like Star Wars ended up doing, you know, years after Herbert wrote this. So I don't know. I think that I'm super excited for the third one.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I agree with Rick's comment. You know, they did the same thing with Daenerys.
Well,
but George R. R. Martin didn't do that. That was the showrunners.
Well, he helped. I think he said what was going to happen.
He gave, from what they have mentioned, who knows the actual conversations, right? We can immediately agree to that. But from what's kind of been publicly mentioned and what I'm aware of from that is that he more so, like, he had notes, you know, he's like, hey, these are some notes of like what I was thinking of doing, but that they more so took that and just went in their own direction with it. You know, I don't think it's fair to say that the way the show ended is the way he plans on ending the books. I as a matter of fact, would be absolutely floored if he ends up ending the books the same exact way as the show. I think actually he has something that most authors like dream of to a certain degree, which is you literally had a chance to see what an ending would be received like, and you now know exactly what not to do.
Yeah, and he's not going to do it.
Right. So, and you know, and I think he'll
going to do it in a way that is so much more fulfilling than what they did with the series.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah.
Which I still think people are way too overreactive about the end of that. You know, I mean, it's one of those where it's, look, at the end of the day, this ain't about to be a Game of Thrones discussion, but like,
I know.
But I will say this though, for the people that have the audacity to be like, I can't believe Daenerys did that. That's so out of character. That's not like her. Did you watch the same fucking show that we watched? Because literally, there's probably like at least once a season where she's like, I think I'm just gonna kill everybody. And then someone has to be like, whoa. Maybe we don't though. And she's like, all right, fine, you're right. You know, would it have been great character development for her to not do that after she's lost everybody? Yes, it's agreeable that it would have been even better if she did not do what she did, because maybe she learned so many lessons from the people that she was with over the years that she had better self-control. But she's also the daughter of the Mad King, for crying out loud. Like, are you kidding? You know what I mean? It's like, there's so many things that it's like, I didn't want that to happen either, everybody. We're on the same page. But you got to be kidding me about acting so shocked and surprised. I can't believe that would happen. Really, though? Really? I'm saying. I thought we were cutting to a Game of Thrones clip for a second.
And now we begin the Game of Thrones discussion. So,
just straight to Daenerys on the dragon, burning down all of Kingsland. All right. Well, with all that being said, everybody, I think that this was hopefully just as enjoyable as for everybody else as it was for us, because I think this was definitely a fun, good, nice discussion to have. Good to have the gang back together. Keep going again.
Yes.
Squad back together. And, you know, I'm super happy that John was able to join us for the time that he did. Everybody, again, just thank you, you know, immensely for, as we've kind of mentioned within the post leading up to this, thank you for your patience just with everything, and the continued support and understanding, and just being there for us. Like, it means a great deal, because we do have a lot of drive and passion, motivation to want to kick back into gear, get more stuff out there for you. But as like many people would say, it is something where we all got personal lives, and sometimes personal lives involve things that don't exactly make other activities the simplest to do. But I appreciate you being able to check this out, especially if you've been watching up until this point. Thank you so much. If by chance you have not agreed with anything we've been saying, then geez, thank you even more so for watching this long. And I guess I'll leave it at that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, everybody. All right, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Cinema Squad. Okay, and follow us all on Instagram, because there's definitely stuff being posted about on there, so when stuff's upcoming. Or just make sure you hit the notifications bell, so this way when we do have stuff upcoming, you know about it right away. Guys, is there anything else you'd like to say to end this nicely?
No, I just love talking movies with you guys, and I just hope that we can do it more frequently moving forward.
All right.
That's right. Indeed, we will. All right, everybody. Well, until next time, 'twas great spending time with you. All right. Appreciate
Bye, guys.
you all.
See you soon.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Oh, go.